Good evening, everyone, to those who are here in person, to those who are live streaming, and to our community who are physically on location in Catalina, which tonight includes our student representative. For the first time, we're able to include a student from Avalon. But before we get to that, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance. And so our student board member will lead us in the pledge. At this time, I'll have our legal counsel take a roll call and establish a quorum.
Member Lopez.
Present.
Vice President Otto.
Here.
President Craighead.
Here.
Member Benitez.
Here.
And Member Miller. And Board Member Nwala.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The board has been meeting in closed session regarding matters listed on today's agenda. The board took action on the following item. On item 3.3, the board voted 5-0 to approve a settlement agreement in Ramos versus LBUSD, case number 24STCV14736, resolving all claims against the district. The board voted 5-0 to approve a settlement agreement in Gibson versus LBUSD, case number 23LBCV01907, resolving all claims against the district. And now we're at adoption of the agenda. Oh. Okay. Okay. In closed session, right. So we'll make that correction to the minutes as well, as I'm making a note on this. Adoption of the agenda. There's a slight modification on item 15.5. And so we need to clarify that number 26, the agreement with San Diego State University, is not an income agreement as stated in the paperwork. There's no cost to the district, and that's good news. We like seeing it go in that direction. So we need,
Move to approve agenda as amended.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And our student board member with a preferential vote in favor of adopting the agenda as amended. So next, we have our student representative who is joining us from Avalon. And as I mentioned, it is the first time that we've had a student representative from Avalon. So Arlene Sotelo Guzman, welcome. And hopefully you hear the applause. Everybody is very happy to welcome you to our board meeting. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, Dr. Baker, and guests. Thank you for inviting me to speak this evening. My name is Arlene Sotelo Guzman, and I am currently a freshman at Avalon High School here on Catalina Island. I am an active member at our school's ASB Student Council as the Assembly Coordinator. As you know, Avalon TK through 12 is a unique in the district, as Avalon TK through 12 school has recently added a child development center. It educates TK through 12 school TK through 12, and it has recently added a child development center all in one site. We currently have 13 students in our CDC program, 182 students in our elementary grades, TK through 5, 95 students in middle school, grades 6 through 8, and 148 students in grades 9 through 12, a total of 438 students. Because of our small size and location, we face many challenges. Here at Avalon, we have very few electives, limited resources, but through creativity, we have access to music education through a partnership with the Jazz Angels. We are also in partnership with LBCC so that my peers and I have access to dual enrollment courses, allowing us to earn college credit. And we are also proud to announce that Avalon School has received support of the YMCA of Greater Long Beach, thanks to the work of Mr. Jeremy Eknos and CEO Mr. Alfredo Velasco. With this program, high school students don't just learn democracy, they live it. Stepping into model government, finding our voices, debating real-world issues, and building the skills to make change in communities and beyond. We also have a full and robust sports program here at Avalon. After knocking on the door 4 years in a row, Lancers were finally able to capture a CIF championship last year in football. It was a magical year, full of ups and downs. Our Lancers are looking good this year and have high hopes of winning back-to-back CIF championships, which is something Avalon has never been able to do in its 100-year history. On the high school level, we also have boys and girls volleyball, boys and girls golf, co-ed cross country, boys and girls basketball, boys and girls soccer, baseball and softball teams, and a pep squad. On the middle school level, we are now included in LBUSD's middle school sports programming and have our students compete with schools over town. Our middle school girls volleyball team recently defeated Nelson. In middle school divisions 1 through 8, our junior Lady Lancers are currently last undefeated team in middle school girls volleyball. Our sports program for both middle and high school help promote engagement, a sense of belonging, increasing school spirit, and helps bring the community to the school. At the beginning of the school year, Avalon adopted a no cell phone policy. Many students have struggled with and continue to struggle with, but it's getting easier. This policy also extends to earbuds, smartwatches, headphones of any type. Our Measure E project is coming along with the last piece, our practice sports field, nearing completion. We are planning, in partnership with facilities and the contractor, a grand reopening which you are all invited. As students, our principal, Ms. Peguero, is collecting our voices through thoughts with various methods such as district pulse survey and an opportunity to participate in raising Lancer voices, a student-led group who takes the task of initiating change. Our freshman class receives a high degree of support through our student champions and freshman success team, a group of teachers and staff who regularly check in on us to ensure that we are being successful academically and offer support as needed. We had a successful freshman orientation held over the summer, and our team of freshman teachers are implementing new services to support us students throughout our first year of high school. Being on TK through 12 campus means that I can go back to my elementary teachers who have known me since kindergarten and get their support. We are very proud of our island here on Avalon and invite you to come over and spend the day with us visiting classrooms and speaking with students. Thank you, board members, Dr. Baker, and guests, for allowing me to speak with you tonight about our unique LBUSD school here on Catalina Island.
Hi, Arlene. This is Juan Benitez. Can you hear me?
Yes.
That was awesome. You have a whole room full of people here that are super excited that you were able to join us. So you did a great job. Congratulations. And we love hearing from Avalon. I know that you're in the 9th grade, Arlene. So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So what's your favorite or coolest or best thing about 9th grade so far? And if you could change something, what would it be?
I think the best thing that I've experienced, like, I'm part of the pep squad, and that really brings me with like my peers, and it's really motivating. Everyone's really motivating. It's just the only thing is that A ASB. Well, being on ASB helps me communicate with Miss Claire and our activities director, and it's really fun. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing, what would it be, Arlene?
Maybe like a little bit more inclusive and a little more electives to school.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great job tonight.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us. And just know that if you ever want to address the board with public comment, we will always be available to make those arrangements. But we wish you well. You're just starting out your high school experience. Yeah, but thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's very fun having a student from Avalon. It's the first time, and it's a very unique challenge to have a school on an island attached to our school district, and we do the best we can. Okay, let's see. So next on the agenda, we have a video, so I'll direct our attention to the screen for a brief video.
The goal of EEP is to promote parent engagement. We all know that when parents are engaged, our children benefit from their engagement. We want to make sure that our parents come to the school, support our educational system, and therefore see the results that they will be helping their children in their learning.
I've seen firsthand the difference in kids when the parents are involved and on campus. I've seen a drastic difference in my daughter since starting and being more involved. Her behaviors have changed. We've had a whole lot of improvement, so we're really excited about it. This is the first Parent University workshop I've actually done. I definitely would encourage going in and participating. There are so many people that can help. And by going to these workshops, you meet those people and you get the tools that you need. And I think that's really important.
I'm a first-time parent here at Long Beach Unified, and I've been super excited for my son to go to school and just to be part of his education. I am very happy that I am involved and a part of the workshops because I have met amazing people. The staff is so nice, understanding. I just feel comfortable. I feel like if I have anything I need to ask or say, then I can. It just makes you feel like welcome to be part of this community.
It's nice to see how the Parent University impacts our parents. And I have skipped over our own student board member in all the excitement over having a student representative from Avalon across the ocean. So forgive me for that, but student board member Nawala, I believe the floor is yours.
Thank you. I wanted to share a bit about the Superintendent's Student Advisory Board, or RSVP, standing for Raising Student Voices and Participation. This year, our focus for our ambassadors is to have them partner with admin at their school to identify and address equity dilemmas at each of their school sites. Sorry. All of which reflects the core values of our Vision 2035 to elevate student voices in leadership. To support our ambassadors, we had the National Equity Project meet with them for our last meeting, and next meeting we'll be meeting with David Clifford, who is one of the co-creators of the liberatory design that our district engages so heavily in. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, just for the previous item, the student staff school celebrations, we actually have a VIP here from the video. I don't want to embarrass them, but I think Talia, I see you in the back, reflecting the parent engagement piece. So I just want to recognize and thank you for being here, Talia.
Thank you for that. Also, I believe our student board member is prepared to read a statement about the Heritage Month.
The celebration of Filipino American History Month in October commemorates the first recorded presence of Filipinos in the continental United States, which occurred on October 18th, 1587, when Luzones Indios came ashore from the Spanish galleon Nuestra Señora de Esperanza and landed at what is now Morro Bay, California. In 2009, U.S. Congress recognized October as Filipino American History Month in the United States.
Thank you. And now it is my honor to recognize a community member. So I'm going to, I'm sorry, what? Oh, well, that makes it awkward because well, I mean, I could move on, but
I have two other celebrations that I was saving for my superintendent's report that I'm happy that pertain to this month. So let me join Board Member Nwala in adding the recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day. Indigenous Peoples Day honors the histories, cultures, and perspectives of Indigenous peoples and their ancestors who lived on the land now known as North America. They existed in these areas for thousands of years before the first European explorers arrived, and that is something that is celebrated this week and across Long Beach Unified School District. Also this month, we are proud to celebrate LGBTQIA+ History Month, a month-long celebration of the history of the diverse and beautiful lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community, and the importance of civil rights movements in progressing gay rights. The observance was created by Rodney Wilson, a history teacher at a Missouri high school in 1994. So lots to celebrate this month across Long Beach Unified School District.
thank you, and thank you for being flexible and pivoting and helping, and we're good now? Okay, so at this time, I'd like to recognize a community member and partner for LBUSD, Dr. Anissa Davis. So if I could have you come to the podium, that would be wonderful. And I have a proclamation to read. So let's let's hear about Dr. Anissa Davis. And also, I just want to say, kind of personally, to have you as a partner for the school district during the most challenging time, during COVID. I remember Dr. Brown mentioning that she would be in constant communication with you, that you made time to be on the phone with her on a daily basis. And I do believe that it made it possible for us to bring our kids back safely when we were allowed to do so. So right off the top, I want to thank you for that. And also how lucky we are, how fortunate in Long Beach that we have our own health department. That was very helpful as well. But now I'm going to read the official proclamation. So, whereas Dr. Anissa Davis, a proud alumna of the Long Beach Unified School District, has dedicated her life to advancing public health, equity, and the well-being of the community, she has called home. And whereas Dr. Davis academic journey from Long Beach Unified School District's Polytechnic High School to UCLA, Stanford School of Medicine, and a master's in public health at UCLA prepared her for a career marked by brilliance, humility, and unrelenting service. And whereas the City of Long Beach Health Officer, Dr. Davis has been a steadfast partner to Long Beach Unified School District, guiding the district with life-saving expertise during the unprecedented challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, ensuring the health and safety of students, staff, and families during times of anguish, uncertainty, and loss. And whereas her leadership has exemplified courage, compassion, and scientific integrity, providing reassurance to the Long Beach community while fostering trust and resilience across our schools. And whereas Dr. Davis has worked hand in hand with the Long Beach Unified School District to protect and uplift our community, embodying the very best of public service and demonstrating the power of collaboration between public health and public education. And whereas the Long Beach Unified School District is forever grateful for Dr. Davis's dedication, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to the well-being of all who call Long Beach home. Now therefore be it resolved that the Long Beach Unified School District Board of Education does hereby recognize and celebrate Dr. Anissa Davis, MD, MPH, for her extraordinary service as health officer of the City of Long Beach and her indispensable partnership with the Long Beach Unified School District. In witness whereof this proclamation is issued on this 15th day of October, 2025, with most profound respect, admiration, and gratitude for Dr. Davis's enduring leadership and service. Yes.
If I may say a few words.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman and members of the board. And I just wanted to say thank you to the Long Beach Unified School District community, teachers and administrators for investing in me and my education. My family moved around a lot, and so I went to several schools in the LBUSD, including Roosevelt, Lincoln, Signal Hill Elementary in the GATE program, and then Horace Mann in 5th grade. And after that, I moved away to Inglewood, Kentucky, and Indiana before moving back to Long Beach for my junior year in high school. At that time, when I moved back, I lived on Atlantic and Burnett. So Poly was my home school. I don't think we had school choice at the time. So I showed up on the first day of school in 1985 with all of the crowds and chaos before there was any kind of online anything. So there was just a bunch of lines and trying to get to everyone as expeditiously as possible. And in the midst of that, a counselor quickly took a look at my transcript from Kentucky and Indiana. I get emotional when I publicly speak, but he quickly took a look at my transcript from Indiana and Kentucky, and he said, I think there's a program that you'd be a good fit for. And that's how I got into PACE at Long Beach Poly. And I feel that that one decision that he made was really a turning point in my life's trajectory, in preparing me to go on to UCLA, Stanford Medical School, and then to be here to help lead the city of Long Beach through the pandemic. And who knew that when I graduated from Long Beach Poly in 1987, that 30 years later, I'd be back helping to lead the city through one of the most trying moments of its history. Truly a full circle moment and a great return on your investment. I want to thank my first grade teacher, Mrs. Moore, and my fourth grade teacher, Mr. Williams, and all of my Long Beach Poly teachers. Teachers definitely make a difference. They made a huge difference in my life. I want to appreciate Tiffany Brown, Lucy Carbajal, and Rose Van Meveren, and the entire LBUSD administration and their tireless and unwavering partnership in keeping the LBUSD community safe and healthy during the pandemic and beyond. Those are some long days and a lot of conversations, and I'm truly grateful for our collaboration. We all had to go through and get through the pandemic. And since I had to go through it, I'm honored to have been able to support the school district who supported me. Thank you.
And also, we have a beautifully framed proclamation for you. So, and so we invite you to come. Yeah, and the board will come up front, and we'll just have a brief pause for a photo. Thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda, we have a public hearing. So this is the time set aside for public hearing regarding sufficiency of K through 12 textbooks and instructional materials. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this item? I'll check with our legal counsel. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this
There's
item?
nobody signed up.
No? Okay. So having none, I declare the hearing closed, and I will move on to item number 12, public testimony on items listed on the agenda.
We have two speakers on item 16.1.
Okay.
The first speaker is Jarlene Tatum.
Good evening, Jarlene Tatum, LBUSD parent, a founding member of the Black Student Achievement Initiative Advisory Committee, speaking on Sankofa. Today you will be hearing a report about Sankofa and I guess what the plans are moving forward for the district. And I just wanted to remind you all of a few things when you are listening to that report today. About 12% of LBUSD students identify as African American. In 2024, only 34% of Black students met or exceeded standards in English language arts. In 2024, only 20% of Black students met or exceeded standards in math. District-wide averages were about 50% for ELA and 60 and 36 for math. In 2023, Black students' proficiency was 33% in ELA and 18% in math. About 10% of students were suspended at least once in the previous year, and the highest rate, Black students were the highest rate. So as you're listening to that report, please keep in mind the reason and purpose why Sankofa is needed on these campuses. And as things are put in place, please ensure that the processes and the consistency across that there is consistency across the district. Otherwise, you're just creating a gathering for parents, which is great. We need to be able to gather. But again, just make sure that those things are in mind as you move forward.
Thank you.
Staff Superintendent Baker, Deputy Superintendent Brown, and board members. I am also here to talk on agenda item 16.1, the board guardrails. As this remains an active and vital goal of the board, I want to once again lift up a very few heartfelt recommendations from the ACLU. They recommended funding and supporting Black student success programs. They also recommend facilitating meaningful, solution-focused dialogue and training that helps staff, students, and parents confront and understand anti-Blackness in education. One of the key findings of the BSAI report, the Black Student Achievement Initiative report, is the need to overcome deeply rooted systemic barriers. Having Sankofa programming at each school site is a powerful step. It gives Black students and families a space to be seen, heard, and celebrated. We asked for this, and you delivered, and for that we are grateful. Yet, I urge you, don't let this expansion be treated as a finished gift, neatly wrapped and put away. This work must continue with the same passion and persistence that made it possible in the first place. As you hear the staff presentation tonight, I ask that one word echo in your minds: accountability. We need to see LBUSD leadership not only listen, but truly learn from the communities they serve. We need consistency and courage in the work of supporting Black and other marginalized students from the top to the bottom at every single school campus. Schools like Keller and Lincoln have opted not to have Sankofa programs, and I'm sure there are more. What does that say about Black families at that school and their experiences? In our recent district-wide Sankofa meeting, a few parents shared frustrations, and so I urge you to put your ear to the ground and see if this program is a success at all sites or just a few. Principals set the tone for their schools, and as they move from site to site every few years, the commitment must move with them. The intentionality behind Sankofa must be met with continuous action and unwavering follow through by those holding the power to create lasting change. This is a turning point towards equity, belonging, and repair for our Black families. Thank you.
Thank you. And
No others for on agenda.
no others. And so now it's time for public comment on items not listed on the agenda.
And we have 27 speakers.
I motion to extend public comment time to allow all speakers to speak.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Our student board representative? Our
Aye.
student board member?
Yes.
So that's 4-0 with a preferential vote from our student board member. So we will get started. I'll just ask everyone, because we have so many, if you can make your comments as clear and brief as possible to accommodate everyone. Thank you.
Our first speaker is Steve Neal, followed by Abigail Mejia.
Good evening, esteemed board members and board staff and community members. I'm speaking on behalf of the issue with the Solomon ankle bracelet text message. And I think I find this disturbing on many levels. Our previous speakers talked about Black achievement and the challenges that African American students have within this school district, and your own records show that our students are disciplined at a higher rate. They are not given the same consideration. And I find it appalling that someone that is charged with the public trust in regards to special ed education, and not only that, as a a labor representative. Me being a labor representative for 40 years, our creed and our challenge is to honor everyone and represent everyone equitably. What I find most disturbing about this issue is, had it not been brought to the surface by someone within the group, the public would never know. And I think the public in general is looking to this body, this group of individuals, to address this situation and help restore the public trust. As a parent of 6 students that have matriculated through Long Beach Unified School District and 8 grandchildren that have matriculated through the school district, based on what I know about this particular situation, if I found that any of my children or grandchildren would be enrolled with the said perpetrators class, I would do whatever I could, both quietly and publicly, to make sure that they were not exposed to this kind of thinking. What I believe is it shows a proclivity to add to the mindset that our students, African American students, students of color, are in some way lesser and do not have the ability to achieve. And I think the public in general is looking to you folks to address this in a serious manner and at least let the community know what your outcomes are. And with that, I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Abigail Mejia, followed by Reverend Leon Wood.
Great. Good evening, board members. My name is Abigail, and I am the district director for State Senator Lena Gonzalez, and I'm here to read a statement on her behalf. Senator Gonzalez, as a public servant and parent, was encouraged to see the school districts respond and take action to uphold our shared values of diversity, inclusion, and zero tolerance for racism, ableism, and discrimination on our campuses. The comments made by the teacher under investigation were extremely concerning, deeply harmful to Black students, students with disabilities, and our entire community. They do not reflect the safe and supportive learning environment we need for our students. Senator Gonzalez thanks the school district for taking this matter seriously and encourages that the investigation moves forward, that it be conducted with a full transparency, and that the community receive a timely updates throughout the process as appropriate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Reverend Leon Wood, followed by William Urban.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I was speaking on behalf of the incident that was reported to me about the young man who an instructor sent a picture of a boy with a shackled ankle and so forth, and kind of a racist picture. And I wanted to mention to the trustees and the board that when African American males are in their early stages, it's a very serious time for them in a place like America, because that's when they get the parts that make them not want to go to school, that when they get the experiences that makes them want to join gangs and other kinds of things because of the kind of treatments that they receive in the community. The school is the place that can give them some kind of solid base of love, care, understanding, and encouragement. I just want to say that I want you to make sure that the instructors are trained and that you tell them directly, please make sure that you are very careful with our young people, that you treat them with love and kindness, and make sure you're always encouraging with them. Those kind of pictures and things of that nature can leave a scar on a young man that you look around and before you know it, he's in a gang of kids out in the street doing something wrong. What we want to do is encourage them that education is a way to succeed and move forward. The only way we can do that is to make sure that we teach them well with love and care and kindness, and not have any incidents like this happened recently, to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I thank you very, very much, because I know that all of you want what's best for our youngsters. And so we just have to make sure that we insist upon it with everyone who works in the system. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
William Urban, followed by Janine Pierce.
Good evening, board. I don't stand here as a accuser or even saying one is guilty until proven innocent. There's some investigation still going on about this ankle monitor situation. But I'm deeply moved by what I saw. And I know it's still under investigation. I even spoke with someone in investigation that this is still an ongoing investigation at this time. But if these pictures were in fact sent from the said gentleman's phone, Mr. Solomon, there should be some swift disciplinary actions dealing with this, because in our country right now there's so much racial tension, blackface, gator bait, nooses are popping up and happening everywhere now. And I believe that Long Beach has been very intentional in their diversity in this city. So dealing with, if you will, the disabled, dealing with different ethnic backgrounds, we have to be very careful and sensitive that we don't become desensitized to these things in this current situation that our nation is in. I'll say this, the grandson of a grandfather who was in East Texas, when I went on vacation from California to there, we're walking down the sidewalk, what they call the town square, a very small town with one swinging light, one light hanging on a string. And my grandfather, I remember him snatching me and jumping off the curb and letting another gentleman pass by of another ethnicity. And my grandfather wasn't even allowed to even look him in the eye. He had to look down. And he said, "Peanut." My grandfather couldn't even say hello. He'd say, "Woo," just make a sound. I remember questioning my grandfather in elementary school, "Grandpa, what's wrong?" He said, "Be quiet, boy, I gotta live here. You be quiet, you going back home, I gotta live here." But the racial tension and hostility can sometimes still peek his head out, and I'm getting emotional because I won't forget that day. I'll never forget that day. But Long Beach, let us move towards making sure our citizens are treated with equality, no matter what our background, no matter what our race, gender, religious experience is. We all are in this together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Janine Pierce, followed by Talia Wada.
Hello, honorable board members and staff. My name is Janine Pierce. I'm a former Long Beach City Council member, current community advocate, and most importantly, a proud parent in the district. I'm here today because I feel called to speak, especially for those that don't have the same privilege. I understand that Mr. Solomon's resigned his position as union secretary after the public exposure of racist and ableist text messages. I want to start by applauding this community, every teacher, every parent, every union member who refused to stay silent. Long Beach has shown that we will not tolerate hate. What concerns me is how long it took. If this incident was allowed to continue until the public intervened, I have to ask what other complaints have been ignored, minimized, or silenced. I know too well, having served in public office and having personally filed complaints, that the status quo default is to minimize impact. So tonight I'm calling on transparency and accountability. First, we're calling for a compilation and release of every complaint of discrimination over the last 5 years in chronological order, including a timeline of events outlining how the district responded and addressed each of these complaints. Second, we're calling on an independent investigation into how the district handled the complaint before they were forced to act by the community. And lastly, we call for the district to analyze these findings and present a plan on how they will address and prevent discrimination in the future. And I do not mean punitive measures. I'm a systems person, right? Schools are systems with feedback loops, not cover-ups. This is the board's responsibility to ensure that racism, ableism, and any other isms are stopped in their tracks. And this message that we send to our teachers, our students, and our families is one of belonging and justice. You must lead now. We know this is likely not an isolated situation, although we would hope it was. Today, many of us, myself included, read the hate-filled text circulating from some Republican Party members about rape and gas chambers. Let's be clear, these things don't just happen. They are the results of systems that fail to check hate, of institutions that stay silent when the damage is too deep to ignore. Today is more than a moment of pain, it's a call to action. It's a call to model courage, integrity, and love. So we ask, how will we follow up with our educators and students that carry the weight of these failures? How will we transform our system so that it's more than to just educate, that it heals, empowers, and prepares our next generation to lead with empathy and justice? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jerlene Tatum, followed by Nazir Anubawali.
Good evening, Jerlene Tatum, LBUSD parent. Wow, anti-blackness shows up in many forms in this district, and I'm gonna talk as fast as I can to get through as much as I can. So a couple weeks ago, my son was followed home by Latino gang members and harassed. And of course, they met the mama bear in that. And I know that the gang that's located in my neighborhood is rooted in anti-blackness. One student I determined or learned that was a Cabrillo student. But then yesterday, I had an encounter with two of them as they were about to graffiti my wall. And the conversation actually turned out to be very heartfelt. Both of them 17 years old. Neither of them live with their parents. Both of them in the system. One actually proudly showed me his ankle monitor. One of them is a dropout of LBUSD, and the other at a school that he's unhappy with. And in the anger that I was feeling of the anti-blackness, at the same time, I have love and compassion for these young people that have been lost in this system. So I share that because I really need LBUSD to step up and do a little bit better, because those children and what they're doing is the failure of adults, not their own. But that is an anti-blackness thing that is happening in our communities. It's not being dealt with and faced one-on-one. But something that I also wanted to address is what was already been addressed here. We have to be very careful to not allow ourselves to be emotionally manipulated when it comes to addressing anti-blackness, because what it does, it detracts and distracts from the things that are real issues, such as a teacher being displaced, a child being harmed directly in a classroom. There's going to be young people that are going to be speaking earlier, sharing their stories. And so I have a question. Does the Taub quagmire and the emotional hoopla and public performance have anything to do with the quality of K-12 education for black students in LBUSD? In my opinion, no. What has happened, the public has been manipulated, and our emotions are being played on for something that is nothing more than political theater. It is not going to, it has caused more harm to the community than it is brought any type of healing. So and I shared this in a previous meeting, so please be mindful that we don't spend our time stuck in the muck on something that is not going to be forward moving, that is not going to change the test scores of our kids, that is not going to increase the number of Sankofa villages, that is not going to ensure that our black center is being elevated and the proper programming is there. Please don't. Or even the fact that our black educators are being pushed out, and counselors and teachers, or all the different harms. Don't get distracted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nazir, followed by Sophia Chin.
Good evening, Superintendent Baker and board members. My name is Nazir Anyabwile. I have served students for more than 25 years as a counselor and a probation officer. My last assignment was at Lakewood High School until my contract was not renewed this summer. I'm here tonight because of the district October 10th investigative findings about me are inaccurate, unfair, and retaliatory. Last spring, I was called in as a witness during an internal investigation of another African-American colleague by Principal Mona Merlo. I answered every question honestly and professionally, and I did not throw anyone under the bus. I simply told the truth. That decision became a turning point in my career. Shortly afterward, I took a week's leave to San Diego because my daughter in the Navy was having my first grandchild. When I returned, I learned that I was under investigation by Mona Merlo herself. From that moment, ordinary aspects of my work were twisted into allegations. They said I was late, although I routinely arrived every day at 7:40 a.m., well before most counselors who arrive closer to 8:10 and 8:15. Campus cameras can verify that. They said I spent too much time behind closed doors with students, but that is the core of counseling, creating confidential spaces where students and families can speak safely about academics, emotions, or crisis. Pretty much every counselor does that. They claimed I missed AP testing, yet I administered that exam on time with Ms. Whitaker, Ms. Valencia, and Ms. Metzger, and I attended most BTSC meetings, if not all of them. My colleague and I were encouraged by Principal Merlot to conduct home visits, re-entry conferences, and outreach calls for chronically absent students. We even partnered with the local police department and probation department when families could not be reached. That collaboration revealed that one of my students had been shot in a car accident, one had moved to Las Vegas and was recovering at home, information the school would not have discovered without that outreach. I've always gone beyond the job description to lift students higher. In April of 2025, through professional contacts, I arranged an all-expense 3-day tour for students at Lakewood High School to go to Cal State Chico so Lakewood students get the chance to experience the university campus. That is who I am as an educator, a builder of opportunities, not a problem to be managed. As for the scheduling accusations, let's be clear. The write-up was for spring work connected to fall schedules that were still changing months later. Anyone in education knows that shift, daily, credentialing classes, and student needs and extreme circumstances through the 20th day of school. To be written up in spring for schedules that didn't even exist is a very long reach, and it shows how Mona Merlo weaponized normal process to create a record against me. I ask that you protect the employees that protect the students.
Thank you.
Chen, followed by S. Khan.
Good evening, President Greghead, Board Member, and Superintendent Dr. Baker. My name is Sophia Jim, a proud LBUSD parent. I'm currently serve as a community-elected leadership team member of Bestart Central Long Beach, part of the First 5 LA initiative based at Long Beach Forward. I also work as a department coordinator at United Cambodian Community UCC, where my main focus is on parent education, parent engagement, and parent advocacy. Throughout our daily work at UCC, we assist families in applying for childcare, housing, citizenship, and other essential resources. One of the most common needs we hear from the parent is the urgent demand for accessible, high quality, and safe early childhood education and care. That is why I am here tonight to respectfully request your continued support in preserving and expanding the Head Start program in Long Beach. Head Start provided children with a strong educational foundation, social emotional development, and the confidence they need to success in their school and beyond. By supporting and expanding this program, we are investing not only on our students or children's future, but also in the strength and success of our entire community. Thank you very much for your time, leadership, and continued commitment to our family and children. Please have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is S. Khan, followed by Talia Wada.
Good evening, President Craighead, school board members, and Superintendent Dr. Baker. My name is Sanghat Manita Khan, but you can call me Moni. I'm 8 years old, and I am a 3rd grader at Alvarado Elementary School. I am also a proud student from the Head Start program. Head Start helped me get ready for kindergarten by teaching me how to learn, make friends, and be confident. My teachers were so kind, and I had a lot of fun every day. Because of Head Start, I learned to love reading and math, and now I do really well in school. It gave me a good start in life and made me excited to learn new things. I'm here today to ask for your support to continue and expand the Head Start program so more children like me can have the same chance to learn in a safe, happy, and high-quality environment. Thank you so much for listening and for helping kids like me grow, learn, and dream big.
Thank you.
So Talia Wada. And I apologize for
Good evening, President Diana and school board members. My name is Talia, and I am a Long Beach Unified School District parent, and I am a parent organizer, part of the Long Beach Forward Movement Regency. The Long Beach Forward Movement Regency seeks to advance racial, economic, and educational justice throughout Long Beach by supporting the knowledge, leadership, and skills development of Long Beach-based activists and organizers, providing Long Beach-based community members with the opportunity and space to undertake power-shifting organizing and receive ongoing coaching, mentorship, and learning opportunities. I am here to introduce ourselves and let you know we are here to support your efforts to help students succeed and for parents to get involved in their schools. I am a VIPS and a PTO member at my child's school. I also collaborate with organizations in Long Beach. I love helping out neighborhood cleanups and food drives and programs at the library. Thank you for having me. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Karina Mendoza, followed by Mara Batista.
Buenas noches, Presidenta Diana y miembros de la Junta Escolar. Mi nombre es Karina Mendoza y soy padre de LBUSD. Al igual que soy padre organizador que forma parte de la residencia del Movimiento Avanzado de Long Beach. Long Beach Forward es una organización sin fines de lucro que fomenta el conocimiento, el liderazgo y el poder comunitario con comunidades de bajos ingresos para impulsar un cambio real y promover la visión de Long Beach. Puede ser un lugar donde la raza y los ingresos no determinen el futuro de nadie, sino una comunidad donde todos estén seguros, conectados y saludables. Actualmente, Long Beach Forward proporciona liderazgo, estrategia, comunicación y apoyo para la convocatoria de múltiples coaliciones. Un objetivo de la residencia de movimiento es contribuir a un espacio intergeneracional e intercultural de organizadores comunitarios para fomentar el aprendizaje mutuo y el cuidado colectivo. El día de hoy me encuentro en esta junta para hablar sobre los problemas relacionados con el acceso al lenguaje. En muchas ocasiones, incluso para poder escuchar estas mismas juntas a través de las plataformas como YouTube, se presentan dificultades, ya sea de calidad de audio, la falta de subtítulos o la ausencia de interpretación en otros idiomas. Esto representa una barrera significativa que impide que más padres y madres puedan informarse y participar activamente. Es fundamental que mejoremos la accesibilidad en la comunicación para asegurar que todas las familias tengan las mismas oportunidades de estar informadas y ser parte de estas conversaciones tan importantes. Soy madre de familia y me involucro activamente en la educación de mi hijo. Formo parte del ILAC y del comité de padres dentro de la escuela y actualmente represento a la escuela de mi hijo en el comité del ILAC. Estamos aquí para que todos los padres y cuidadores sepan que estamos aquí para ayudarnos y ayudarlos en todo lo que podamos durante estos tiempos difíciles. Gracias por escucharme y espero trabajar con ustedes para apoyar a nuestros estudiantes y a toda la comunidad de padres.
Good evening, President
Diana, and members of the Board of Education. My name is Karina Mendoza, and I am an LBUSD parent as well as a parent organizer, part of the Long Beach Forward Movement Residency. Long Beach Forward is a nonprofit organization that fosters knowledge, leadership, and community power among low-income communities to boost real change and to promote the vision that Long Beach can be a place where no one's future is determined by race and income, but a community where everyone is safe, connected, and healthy. Currently, Long Beach Forward provides leadership, strategy, communication, and support to multiple coalitions. One goal of the Long Beach Forward Movement Residency is to build an intergenerational and intercultural space of community organizers to foster mutual learning and collective care. Today, I am at this meeting to talk about the problems related to language access. On many occasions, even to be able to listen to these meetings through platforms such as YouTube, we face difficulties, either due to audio quality, lack of subtitles, or lack of interpretation in other languages. This represents a significant barrier that prevents more parents from being informed and actively participating. It is essential that we improve accessibility and communication to ensure that all families have the same opportunities of being informed and of being part of these important conversations. I am a parent and I actively participate in my son's education. I am part of ELAC, the parent committee in my son's school, and I currently represent my son's school on the DLAC committee. We are here today to let all parents and caregivers know that we are here to help them in any way we can during these difficult times. Thank you for listening to us, and we look forward to working with you to support our students and the entire parent community.
Thank you.
Mara Batista, followed by Alicia Renterio.
Good evening, President Craighead and school board members and Dr. Baker. My name is Mara, and I am LBUSD parent, and I am a parent organizer. I'm very nervous right now, part of the Long Beach Forward Movement Residency. We're designed as an experimental fellowship. The movement residency allows for time and structure to dive deeper into community organizing, theory, and practice, co-lead and develop campaigns and projects to connect with leaders and organizers and advocates in the local movement building ecosystem, advise racial, spatial, economic, and educational justice in Long Beach through campaigns, projects, leadership development, and mutual aid. We are here to introduce ourselves and let you know the LBUSD leadership and our community of parents and caregivers that we are here to support them. And I have two questions for you all. When or is it in the works for the board to provide childcare for this type of meetings? And my second question is, when is it age appropriate within the district for children to learn about a teacher's gender identity? Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Alicia R., followed by Carolyn Essex.
Good evening, President Craighead and school board members. My name is Alicia Renteria Davliatov, and I will be a LBUSD parent. I am a community elected leadership team member of the Best Start Central Long Beach. Best Start provides skills building and leadership opportunities to help parents, caregivers, and organizations achieve their goals and ensure that children ages 0 to 5 are safe, healthy, and ready to learn by the time they enter kindergarten. We are here to tell you that we stand by our immigrant communities, our students with disabilities, our LGBTQ students, our Black students, all of our neighbors right now being threatened by the current administration. I became a member during my pregnancy to connect and help uplift the community that my child will grow up in. Thank you, and we look forward to working with you to support our students and parent community.
Thank you.
Greetings to the board. My name is Carolyn Essex, and I am a community activist and mentor, advocate for parents and students with IEP status. I am representing myself today, and I also stand as a proud member of the Greater Long Beach Black Democratic Club. I'm here tonight because our community has zero tolerance for racist or ableist banter, jokes, or messaging from anyone connected to our school system. That includes educators, administrators, staff, students, and community representatives. No one is above accountability when harm is caused to our children. When a teacher or leader feels comfortable enough to circulate or laugh at an image that degrades a Black child, particularly a child with disabilities, that tells us something about the culture that's being tolerated within LBUSD. It tells us that too many have grown comfortable in silence, and that silence has become complicity. As a parent advocate, I have sat with families who already feel unseen and unsupported when navigating the IEP process. For them to now witness this kind of racist and ableist behavior coming from someone in a position of leadership, it cuts deep. It confirms their worst fears about their children, how their children are viewed and treated in the classroom. If a student has shared such an image, they would face consequences immediately. Yet when an adult in authority does it, we see hesitation, delays, and deflection. That double standard is unacceptable. The district must hold staff to the same expectations we hold our students, if not higher. We are calling for transparent disciplinary action, consistent with district policy and reflective of community values. We are also demanding mandatory anti-bias and cultural competency training for educators and union leaders. Training that includes both racial and disability awareness. This is not just about one individual. It's about the systemic culture that is allowed to happen and the leadership response that will determine whether it happens again. We want to know what kind of environment we are creating for our children as we're building and where our students, especially Black students and students with disabilities. We, the community, are watching closely. We will not accept silence or service level responses. We expect leadership that stands firmly on the side of dignity, inclusion, and justice. Thank you for your time and for taking this issue seriously.
Thank you.
Amy Culligan, followed by Noah Chavez Bonilla.
Good evening. My name is Amy Culligan, and I'm proud to be in my 26th year as a speech-language pathologist, also known as an SLP, with the Long Beach Unified School District. My journey began with LBUSD in 1994 as an instructional aide. From there, I became the district's very first speech aide and later a licensed SLP. I've also had the privilege of serving as the lead SLP for the district for several years. I recognize that our district is currently facing many challenges, especially related to budget. So tonight, I wanted to take a moment to share something positive. Earlier this year, in March, my colleague Laura Gottlieb and I had the honor of presenting at the California Speech Language Hearing Association State Convention. Our presentation was so well received that we've now been selected to present at the 100th anniversary of ASHA, the American Speech Language Hearing Association's National Convention in Washington, D.C. in November. This marks an historic moment. We are the first SLPs from Long Beach Unified ever selected to present at an ASHA convention. This is not just a personal achievement. It's a professional milestone that reflects positively on our district's speech and language program, our students, and our commitment to excellence. However, under the district's new policy, in order to attend and present at this national conference and to earn continuing education units required to maintain my license, I will be required to use either my sick leave or personal necessity time. To say this is a disappointment is an understatement. This policy not only discourages professional growth, but it also fails to recognize the value of what we as SLPs bring to the district, both in service to our students and in representing LBUSD on a statewide and national level. I respectfully urge the district to reconsider this policy and allow SLPs to attend any conference and complete required continuing education without sacrificing the need to take our sick days or personal necessity time. Thank you for your time, your service, and for listening.
Thank you.
Noah Chavez Bonilla, followed by Natalie Rodriguez.
Hello, board. My name is Noah, and I'm an organizer with Californians for Justice. I'm here to request that the board hold all teachers and school staff accountable to violations of the equity policy you set back in 2021. There are certain commitments and implementations that have not been upheld. Specifically, implementation 6, which states building a positive school culture and climate that celebrates the diversity that all students bring as measured by students, caregivers, and staff input. Implementation 9, which states promoting the recruitment of a diverse staff that reflects the demographics of the community. And implementation 10, which states providing staff with ongoing professional development that includes outside community stakeholders with groups with lived experiences so that we can continually develop as culturally competent and responsive educators. There are two different situations being talked about today that are violations of the commitments named in your equity policy. The policy states that equity means that we center the needs of our Black, Indigenous, people of color, which is BIPOC, and students with disabilities within our efforts to deliver an excellent educational experience to all students. My biggest concern is that your efforts have shown to not be enough. The district must expand its efforts to truly reflect the policy you claim to have implemented. Your commitments are in order of students, families, professional conduct, and then employees. Students come first, not just on paper, not just in policy, but in actions as well. Teachers should be held accountable when they break their commitments and when they break policies. Students being first should not only be on paper, it should be reflected in your actions when there are reports of racism and ableism. Listen to students when they tell you which teachers care and which don't. Listen to students when they tell you their experiences at school. Care about students beyond just writing policies, which aren't being updated even though they claim to be updated annually. Equity is not a one-time solution, it's ongoing and needs more, and it's needed now more than ever. We need long-term solutions to protect students. Hold your teachers and staff accountable. Hire more staff who look like the students you serve. Take the first step in showing you care about Black, brown, and disabled students. There is a lot that still needs improvement, but I hope you can see this as part of the work in providing better conditions for our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Natalie Rodriguez, followed by Paris Wills.
Good evening, board members and guests. Before I speak about the importance of an issue my community is currently experiencing, I'd like to speak about myself first. My name is Natalie Rodriguez, and I'm an intern for Californians for Justice. I'm also a senior at Cabrillo High School, and I'd like to share that I plan on continuing my education past high school. I have a younger sibling currently attending middle school who I hope will follow in my steps and continue their education as well. But before I graduate and leave LBUSD, I'd like to leave knowing that my brother and underclassmen are in a safe place where they feel supported to further their education. We as students come to school to learn, as we know that our education is the only way to make it out of the neighborhoods we are growing up in. We rely on our teachers to help us gain the knowledge we need and assist us on our journey towards achieving a successful career. But how are we supposed to trust our educators when they're openly stripping away our dignity and making us question our self-worth? How are we supposed to be grateful for the education we have when the only source of making it into a university is doubting our ability to get there? The constant racism that students are facing daily at school is only tearing down the mindset that we have just as much of an advantage into getting into college as any other privileged student. I hope you all assume by now that I am standing in solidarity with my fellow peers speaking about the recent racist texts and supporting the Lakewood LBUSD BSU members. I would like to remind you of the equity policy you supposedly hold. You talk about recognizing and acknowledging our differences, but the problems rising in our communities all at once only leads me to believe that you are recognizing our differences in the wrong ways. How are we supposed to hold ourselves accountable for how we treat each other when the ones who disrespect us the most believe that they deserve better than us? Every student to come after me deserves better, and there's no one else who can change that except for you. I'm not asking you to only fix the issues currently concerning our community, but to make a more permanent change in our educators. It starts with teaching our teachers on how to respect Black and brown students. Maybe then we'll see a difference in the numbers of students graduating and making it into college. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paris Wills, followed by Madison Dodd.
Hello, board members. I am Paris, a student at Pauley High School and a member of Californians for Justice. The events that unraveled at Lakewood High School and MacArthur Elementary absolutely disgust me. John Solomon's actions were downright inappropriate and racist. They were no joke and they were not funny. Imagine a teacher like this in your child's classroom. A place that's a so-called safe space. A home away from home. With teachers like this, with students like this, but when teachers go after that safe place, so sorry.
No, it's okay.
John Solomon's actions were downright inappropriate and racist. They were no joke and they were not funny. Imagine a teacher like this in your child's classroom, a place that's a so-called safe space, a home away from home, with teachers like this. But when students go after that safe space, Nazir Anawabli, they were targeted and isolated. What do you expect us students to think? Don't see a pattern here? The Black community is being blatantly targeted. Anti-Blackness is what's preventing from our schools to be true communities of belonging. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Madison Dodd, followed by Awitz Romo.
Good evening. I am Madison Dodd, an intern at Californians for Justice, a youth organizing group fighting for racial justice in our schools. You might know us because we were just here in the same position fighting for student safety or the lack of safety from racism. Recently, there have been very notable events of racism that organizations have brought up before me in LBUSD, specifically the racist text sent from a teacher and the recent firing of Black counselors at Lakewood. But why did these events have to happen? Why are teachers not protecting students? Why are principals not protecting students? Why are you not protecting students? More specifically, our Black students. Black students are constantly being faced with racism, anti-Blackness, and discriminating practices not only from their peers, but the staff there, a pattern seen far too often across all Long Beach schools. A place of sanctuary turned into a scene of hate. These cruel events are not unprecedented. So why are we not asking the question, how do we keep our students safe? Well, I come asking you this question with a little extra detail. How can we keep our Black students safe? In LBUSD's equity policy, it states that equity in LBUSD means that we center the needs of our Black students, and that this policy establishes, and I quote, a standard of humanity, compassion, sensitivity, and respect as related to accessibility and care, with high expectations for all staff. Does this policy mean nothing? Do these children's safety and well-being mean nothing? Uphold the equity policy you set. Create long-term solutions so that no child has to suffer their first oppressor being their teacher. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Await Romo Gonzalez, Organizing Director with Californians for Justice. The recent remarks from MacArthur Elementary teacher and the outrage of Lakewood's BSU students are unfortunately not a surprise. They are a symptom of a system that has not yet done the deep work required to protect its Black students and students with disabilities. So while it's easy to focus on that one text message, we're here to talk about long-term solutions. We're here to talk about the long-term vision LBUSD must commit to. This means a few things. Real long-term investment in the protections Black students and students with disabilities need. This isn't just about policy on paper. It's about fully funding and retaining the staff, like counselors and social workers, who create the conditions for safety, belonging, especially when harm occurs. Mandatory ongoing anti-racist and anti-ableist training for all teachers and staff. A one-time workshop isn't enough. We need a district-wide culture shift, and that requires continuous learning and accountability for educators. A clear, transparent system to hold educators accountable. Students and families need to know that when they report racism or any forms of oppression, it will be investigated fairly and addressed with serious consequences. The conversation tonight cannot be about one person's words. It must be about the district's actions. So we urge you to move beyond reaction and commit to the systemic work of building a district where Black students are not just included, but are truly safe, supported, and thriving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tina Jordan, followed by Judy Mbaka.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak. My name is Tina Jordan, and I am a parent of a Long Beach Unified student. I am here to speak on the anti-Blackness at Lakewood High School under Principal Mona Merlot and Assistant Principal Dr. Tulo's leadership. Black students, my daughter being one of them, Black students, my daughter being one of them, feel as if their voices are being silenced, as well as a lot of the staff. I spoke to a faculty at the school, and I quote, she said that this has been going on for some time, and the issues and concerns are not being addressed. They are afraid to step up and speak because they are afraid of the backlash that they feel they will get for speaking up against the issues. My daughter suffers from mental health issues. She was diagnosed 3 years ago, and she has spent time in a psychiatric hospital. She's on medication, had thoughts of suicide, and it was really hard for, as a single parent, to try to help my daughter. She lost her dad 2 years ago, which was her best friend, today being his birthday. So for her to be here in solidarity of everything that's going on is positive, is showing that she's growing. And the way that she was able to grow and flourish is at Lakewood High School. There was 3 of the most amazing counselors that I met, Mr. Nazir being one of them. They set up a program and just gave her a safe place to go to. She's facing retaliation and bullying because they decided, the children of BSU, to host a walkout, and they were called into the office and, in her words, bullied and intimidated. Unfortunately, 3 of the strong leaders that were in BSU are no longer there, which has caused my daughter, it's taken a mental toll on her on top of the harassment. My question is, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Judy Mbaka. Next speaker after is Corey Morris.
Hello, my name is Judy Mbaka. I am a student at Lakewood High School, and I would like to speak on how my counselor, Mr. A, impacted me as a student. The first day I met Mr. Anyabwile was when I was going through cyberbullying, and I did not know what to do about it. I had called my mom to the office, and in a room full of counselors, he was the only one to call me into his office. That day, he gave me a space to speak my concerns and to tell him the things that I go through at school. At the time, I did not have many friends, and I lived in isolation. Being able to share what was going on with me to a counselor made me feel safe. And as I shared my concern with online bullying, I told him who I thought did it, and within days it was taken care of. This moved me as a student very much, and it showed me how impactful a counselor is. Another time Mr. A helped me was when I got my citizenship on the same day as my finals, and when my teachers wouldn't let me make up my test, I went straight to Mr. A because he was my safe space. He made sure that I was able to do my test, and I am forever grateful for that. I now have a sister who attends Lakewood High School who does not have many friends, and I sympathize with her in many ways. I want her to have and live in a space where people are there for her. I am now the president of BSU, and I am working and I am fighting for a space for Black students and for students like me who go through what I went through. I want them to have a counselor like Mr. A person they can go to, a person who can build community. Through Mr. A, I was able to go to many trips and to make many friendships with my friends Jenna, Nia, and Dania. To this day, I feel loved, and I have found my space. I want my sister to find a space for herself, and I want her to feel loved, and I want her to feel embraced within counselors, within students, and within her friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Corey Morris, followed by Casey Rian Hansen.
Good evening, distinguished board members, faculty, Superintendent, Dr. Baker. It's nice to see a couple familiar faces up here. My name is Corey Morris. I'm a proud product of the Long Beach Unified School District, having attended John Muir Elementary School, Stevens Middle School, and Cabrillo High School, graduating in 2007. I'm here tonight to speak about preserving the history of our great school district. While many of the faces up here were not around in 2007, or I don't remember a lot of you guys from back then, I think it's important that we not fall into a revisionist history. 2 years ago, I noticed a post on the LBUSD Facebook or LinkedIn page notating the first student board member. I commented on said post and received back a less than positive response from the LBUSD LinkedIn page. The reason that it was so important to me is that during my school year, I served as the student board member, duly elected to that position. So it was a little frightening to see that they were calling someone the first. I may not have been the first. There were many before me. There were some after me. At some point, it changed to a rotating position. Be that as it may. I'm here tonight because I saw another post on the LinkedIn page from LBUSD, and my apologies. I mean no disrespect to our student board member. I do not know you. I've heard wonderful things about you in the other room from some people. But that post said that she was the first Black student board member. And unfortunately, I take offense to that, as I was the first Black student board member for the Long Beach Unified School District. And Dr. Baker was actually here at that time when I sat on the school board. So it's a little bit disheartening to see that history of the district has been forgotten. I think it is important that we make sure that although employees may change, that the history of the district is always preserved. I fought very hard to be elected to that position. I worked very hard to be the first from Cabrillo to hold that position, and still hold it very near and dear to my heart. And I want to make sure that we are not falling into the ways of the world in revising history to fit any narratives that we may want. While I am certainly excited to see another Black student board member, and I applaud you and I take my hat off to you, and I wish you much success in the position, I just want to make sure that we are not forgetting the history. I sat on this board with some great board members, Mary Stanton, John Myers, Dr. Felton Williams, all who played integral parts in my success at that time. I ask that we remember the history of this school district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Casey Rian Hansen, and followed by Karen Tovar.
Hi, members of the board. My name is Casey Ryan Henson. I am a student at Lakewood High School and a member of the BSU. I'm here to address the anti-Blackness in LBUSD and Lakewood. A culture of anti-Blackness at Lakewood under Principal Merlot's leadership, a harmful culture of anti-Blackness has been allowed to grow unchecked at Lakewood High School. To address anti-Blackness, we need to know what it is. So what is anti-Blackness? Anti-Blackness is a specific form of racism that goes beyond individual acts of prejudice. It is a systemic, institutional, and cultural devaluing of Black people. This includes the actions of Ms. Merlot. Disproportionate discipline of Black students, dismissing or minimizing reports of racism, failing to address racial bias in school policies or practices, and silencing Black voices when they speak up about injustice. This includes students and administrators. Principal Merlot has used her position of power to retaliate against Black professionals who raise concerns, create a climate of fear where speaking up leads to punishment, and disproportionately targeting and disciplining Black students. Our BSU has come to speak in public support of Mr. Anyambwile, a counselor that has spent hours and hours and days and weeks and months in support of us and everything that we do in our school. We feel helpless, we are lost, we are scared coming to school every day knowing we don't have any support. I'm an athlete, I'm a tri-sport athlete, and I have support from coaches and teachers that know me and things like that, so it's sad to know that even I, with so many people, don't feel supported. So what do children with no coaches have? What do Black and African American people at my school and at other schools in the district have that I don't? It's deeper than Lakewood. It's a system that we need to break from the inside out. It's not okay that I have gone through, I'm a senior now, I have gone through 12 years of feeling like I can't come to school being safe, that I can't come to school to learn, that I have to come to school and walk on eggshells every single day, not knowing what's gonna happen today, knowing that something is gonna happen today. So Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Sharon Tovar, followed by Amanda.
Good evening,
Rivera.
board member. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Karen Tovar, and I'm here as a concerned parent. And on behalf of the Jordan High School boys basketball program, I'm speaking tonight because our team is facing serious challenges in securing permanent practice facility since the construction began on campus. Right now, the team is practicing at Browning High School, which has been temporarily a solution, but once our season begins, Browning Gym will no longer be available on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That means our student athletes will be left without a consistent place to train, and that directly affects their ability to compete and represent Jordan with pride. There is a gym nearby that could be a solution, but there has been hesitation because of cost concerns. I understand that budget is tight, but our program and our kids should not be the ones to pay the price. Under Measure E, the district made a commitment to competitive equity and ensuring all schools, including those from the north side of Long Beach, have fair access to athletic facilities. Our players work hard, they stay out of trouble, and they represent their school and community with dedication. But without the gym to call home, they are at a disadvantage, and that's not acceptable. So all we're asking is for fairness and consistency. As a last resort, we are calling on the district board to step in and help us secure a gym space so our team can continue to practice safely and competitively. I appreciate your time and attention, and I truly hope that this issue can be addressed before our season begins. Our students deserve the same opportunities as every other team in the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda G, followed by Danielle Renolo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda Guevara. I am a proud parent and community advocate of the Best Start Central Long Beach, where I work to help parents raise their voices and advocate for the needs of our children. Through my work, I've seen much, and it means, through my work, I've seen how much it means when our students have access to safe and supportive spaces where we can learn, grow, and build confidence through academic and extracurricular activities. Today, I am here to share a concern also about Jordan High School. Due to ongoing construction, the basketball team is currently doesn't have access to an indoor gym. I'm asking that the leaders of the Long Beach Unified School District ensure that there is collaboration and shared spaces for North Long Beach boys basketball team. I respectfully ask that you guys prioritize this, because if it was at Milliken High School, you would prioritize it. And so this is a prime example of how you can help to show that you are supporting Black and brown students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last speaker is Danielle.
Hi, good evening. My name is Danielle Reniolo. I'm a teacher at Lakewood High School. At this time, many of us are living in fear. As a teacher, I appreciate the quick district statement to prepare us to resist ICE and in support of the rights and protections of our LGBT students. Though the movements supporting Black students feel hollow, we need more representation on campus, teachers, staff, and counselors, and active training to our staff about anti-racism and anti-bias. It can't be optional, this training. We need to name the harms that our district has been committing to our Black students and has committed in the past when training our teachers. We can't just allude to the existence of these harms and expect teachers to figure it out on their own. We need to do active work to remove these harms and to actively build the relationships that our Black students and families have with our district. The recent attention to our TALB representatives' blatant racist comments is just scratching the surface of what many of us know is festering under the surface of the systems in place at LBUSD. Our students need more than just an extra graduation and new buildings and ad campaigns. Our district and our union need to do an investigation among staff and policy, official policy, and policy carried out unofficially by site and district staff. That is our obligation and honor as adults to these young people's lives, to protect them and provide them protection and opportunity and rid the foundation of white supremacy in our district. John Solomon is just one of many more, and we need to act swiftly and resolutely so we can return to our focus of empowering and uplifting our students. Thank you for allowing us this space for us to speak. We hope that our words amount to more than just a ceremonial duty of board meetings. Please act for us.
Thank you. And you said that.
That was our last speaker tonight.
Okay, let me get back to my agenda. And we have reports on superintendent advisory groups. We'll start with the business, budget, and policy development, item 14.1. Dr. Benitez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one item to report back on. We did, or council was asked again if we could be provided the number of total policies that we have in our district, just so that we can get a sense of how many policies are coming down the queue, how many policies need to be reviewed, in alignment with our work around student outcomes focused governance.
Thank you. Item 14.2, instruction and student learning supports.
No report tonight.
And workforce development. Unfortunately, Mr. Miller is not with us this evening. So we will move to the consent calendar. And prior to the board's consideration of the recommended approval of employment agreements for the superintendent and senior managers of classified service, SB 1436 requires orally introducing actions on items impacting the annual compensation for these agreements. Agenda items 15.10 and 15.11 provide no changes to annual compensation for these employment agreements. And so I'm going to check with our legal counsel. So because there's no change to the compensation, then we don't have to read them out loud?
That's correct.
Then that's correct. Okay. Okay, so we will proceed with the consent calendar, and we need a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion?
I do have a few questions. On item 15.8, the approval of resolution for sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials. Could someone just please clarify which ELD textbooks or instructional materials are being used at the elementary school level?
Could you repeat your question, Board Member Lopez? I didn't hear it clearly.
Sure. Yes, not a problem. Could you please clarify which ELD textbooks or instructional materials are being used at the elementary school level?
Yes, the core curriculum for elementary students is the Wonders curriculum, and within the Wonders curriculum, can't get my words together, is also connected with ELD.
So, but there isn't a particular textbook or program that we're using to address the needs of our English learners?
It is incorporated within the core program within Wonders, yes.
Yeah, okay. And then item 15.9, so that's a 26, 27, and 27, 28 traditional academic calendars. If someone can tell me what the rationale for bringing teachers back to begin working on August 21st next summer and ending the school year on June 11th, and then starting them again 1 week later, August 27th, and ending on June 16th the following year. So that's one question. And on that same one, are our educators and parents aware that in 2027, Easter Sunday will fall on March 28th, while spring break is scheduled for the following week, which is April 5th through the 9th? And I just want to raise awareness because this has been a practice in our district that the spring break follows Easter, and many of our educators and families have probably already made plans. But what's the rationale for those changes?
What I can share is that we have a joint committee between the Teachers Association of Long Beach and the district who come together to determine the calendar. So I don't know the specific rationale as to why they selected those as the holidays, but it is a joint committee that meets to go over the calendar, and nothing is communicated about the calendars until the board actually approves them. So no parents or staff would have had access to this information until the agenda posted on Friday.
Yeah, because I think so next year the students would start a whole week earlier, and so with the teachers, and then they would go right back to what we currently have. So I thought that I think it's important actually for educators and for parents to know this. And then on number 15.10 and 1511, so these are contracts for Chief Business and Financial Officer, General Counsel, Chief Technology Officer, Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Operations, and Employment Agreement with the Superintendent. And I just would like to better understand the rationale behind approving contract extensions rather, through mid-October 2028 and 2029 for individuals whose current contracts already extend through 2027 and 2028. Particularly given that our teachers don't have a contract yet. And I think that, and they're working directly with our kids, so I think that we really could wait on extending those contracts unless there is any one of those mentioned that does not have a contract for next year. Then I think we should be discussing a contract, but this is extending contracts.
Well, I can address that by saying the reason that we extend contracts for senior staff, example, our superintendent, our legal counsel, it's a vote of confidence for those positions. It's saying we want to, we want to keep you around, and so we just extend it one more year. It's a separate issue to talk about teachers. Then we're getting into negotiations, and it's not appropriate for board members to be involved with negotiations, and it would not be appropriate for us to discuss their contract. It's it's unfortunate in one way because, of course, we want to say we appreciate our teachers and we want to keep them around, but it's a different issue altogether.
Absolutely, and I'm not trying to discuss or talk about our teacher contracts because I completely understand the process. What I am saying is that we are here to vote on extending contracts that actually extend to 2027 and 2028, and we want to extend them to 28 and 2029. And but we haven't resolved contracts with our teachers, and so I think that right now, unless there was any one individual who didn't have a contract that we needed to vote on, I think that these contracts still extend for another couple of years. And that's just my my comment there.
Is there any further discussion?
I'd like to make a comment, two comments. One is that this is it's a management issue, and it became a little bit unwieldy because what we were doing was we were getting these contract things coming up regularly over the course of a year, and it was just we're trying to consolidate these positions, these senior management positions, into one time. We were going to start the contract starting, if they're approved today, and then they would go for whatever periods of time are recommended, which everybody can see, and they can decide to vote on them or not vote on them. I would agree with our board president and say that, look, we have, in my opinion, exceptional senior management people, and we want to, we're not going to give them any more money. We're just going to say, we're going to put this together. I mean, if I was senior management, I'd say, well, give me some more money, but they're not saying that. You know, what they're saying is we would like to consolidate the way that this is done so that these senior positions are all renewed at the same time, and we don't have to come back and do this over several meetings over the course of the year. And I think it's a good idea.
And
management-wise.
sorry, and I just want to be clear. It's not that I'm not saying that these folks don't deserve a contract. What I am saying is that they already have a contract. These contracts are still good for the next few years, and I'm just suggesting that we wait to do this until our teachers have a contract.
So are we ready for the vote then? I'm going to ask our legal counsel to take a roll call vote.
Member Lopez.
I vote aye with the exception of 15.9, 15.10, and 15.11.
Vice President Otto.
Aye.
President Craighead.
Aye.
Member Benitez.
Aye.
Student Board Member Nwala.
Aye.
That passes 3-1 with one preferential vote.
Thank you. I think because it's going on 7 o'clock, we're going to take a brief break before we go on to new business. So we'll have a little opportunity to stretch and get back to our agenda fresh with new energy. So if everybody could be back, is 5 minutes sound good, or a little more? Okay. So 7 o'clock. We will reconvene at 7 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. We are now at new business and item 16.1, and we're going to be taking a look at interim guardrail 1A. So, Dr. Baker, I will ask you to lead us in this conversation.
Thank you. So I am going to lead us into our first monitoring report for a guardrail. And so for the board, I am beginning on page 49 of your board materials. And we'll be speaking to the report itself, the 4 components of the report. And different than our goal monitoring reports, I will be joined by Dr. Brown and an esteemed panel that you can see sitting before you. So we'll wait for a moment to have them introduce themselves, or Dr. Brown's going to introduce them. First, I'd like to take us through the monitoring report itself, which begins actually on page 49 of your packet. I'd like to start by just reminding us that the guardrails that exist, the board goals and guardrails, represent a separate aspect of our work as a governance team, and the guardrails separate for the board. The guardrails represent what you have considered values that you want codified in a guardrail. They're worded in some ways very strangely. So we have 3 guardrails. Tonight we'll focus on guardrail 1. Guardrail 1 is about equitable resourcing, and I'm just going to be really specific about the way that I go through the monitoring report, because tonight we'll have the honor of both talking about the guardrail related to equitable resourcing and then going into much greater detail in a facilitated conversation around Sankofa Parent Villages, the strategy to increase the number of Sankofa Parent Villages, and what that looks like for our team who is right out in the field leading these efforts. And so with that in mind, when we thought about equitable resourcing, the guardrail states the superintendent may not allow resources to be allocated without evidence of their equitable distribution aligned with the Excellence in Equity Board policy. The task for us in thinking about interims was to get specific about, in this case, we have 2 interim guardrails, specific about how we believe that influence can take place on funding, especially related to the Excellence in Equity Board policy. And so tonight you'll hear about Sankofa Parent Villages that represent 2 deepening aspects of work connected to that policy. The first is that Sankofa Parent Villages themselves have a funding source that supports the cultivation of a Sankofa Parent Village at each school, and it is part of the district's parent engagement strategy led by Dr. Alyssa Taylor-Storr. The second is that we believe that by building thriving Sankofa Parent Villages across schools with the goal that has been established, it increases the opportunities for our Black African American families to fully participate, to provide input, to access resources, to be a part of significant conversations at the school level in the form of school site councils and other decision-making bodies at the school. It also influences at the district level when we think about our local control accountability plan and a body of parents and caregivers in the Sankofa Parent Village who are there to provide input and to engage with district staff around decision-making. So in 2 ways, we think that the establishment and the growing of Sankofa Parent Villages from 12 schools currently to 45, which is our goal by 2028, is a way to do both, to engage African American Black families at the school level, and then, as we have seen, a beautiful district level parent community grow in the district's Sankofa Parent Village. So I'd like to take you through the monitoring report. You'll be asked to accept or decide about accepting the monitoring report tonight, but different than we've been able to do with the goals, or that we have done with the goal monitoring reports, I'm going to present the monitoring report passed to Dr. Brown to facilitate a conversation that includes the questions that were asked by a board member who submitted questions ahead of time. And then we will hear from the esteemed group that is here to talk about the specifics of their work. So in the monitoring report, you'll find some great detail. I want to also thank our research and student outcomes team who worked with the Center of Black Student Excellence staff to think about how to represent a guardrail in a way that is easy to read, that represents the four components of an effective report, and also provides the public and board additional information that's not necessarily required in that report. So I'll draw your attention to looking at two different versions of this. Page 50, where you'll see the interim guardrail at the top of the page for 1A. By June 2028, 45 schools will have established Sankofa Parent Villages, up from 12 schools as of June 2025. That is in support of Guardrail 1, which I have already shared. You have on that page, on page 50, you also have source data that tracks to 24-25, the baseline of 12 Sankofa Parent Villages. You'll hear Dr. Alyssa Taylor-Stewart talk about the increased 25-26, 2025, 2026 to 21. And I believe that there are already newly established Sankofa Parent Villages that the team will be speaking to. In addition, the team collaboratively put together on page 51, you'll find additional detailed information specific to school level data. And just to call attention to a few things, this was put together not to describe every single school in our district, but to represent those schools that have active Sankofa Parent Villages. And then to highlight a target group of schools highlighted in the orange boxes that have significant numbers of Black or African American students, where the team is focusing their efforts on the expansion and engagement and development of Sankofa Parent Villages at the school site level. You'll also see, and it was important to our research team as you look to the bottom of that page, page 51, to share specifically to the way that race is reported at the state level. So you can see the additional information about how Black African American student families identify in the school district, with the addition beyond only identifying as Black African American, some additional detail about those who identify as multi or additional race. And then when you turn to page 52 in your packet, the analysis of our guardrail and the backdrop to this, which is also really important, and I think you're going to hear Dr. Alyssa Taylor-Stewart speak specifically to the historical framework of Sankofa and its meaning and why this community is being called the Sankofa Parent Village. Drawing attention to a research study that was collaboratively developed but published by West Ed on behalf of the school district, the 10 Elements of Black Excellence. And when we think about the work of the Center of Black Student Excellence, that is about cultivating innovation and thinking about how a center as a hub supports the practices that we want to see in every classroom and every school that are defined in the 10 Elements of Black Excellence. There are some specifics noted there connected to Sankofa Parent Village and the embodiment of those elements that I expect we'll hear from our panelists tonight. And then lastly, there will be Dr. Brown and the team will talk about some of the data collection processes. I know a couple of the questions that were asked ahead of time, how can we ensure the increase in number of schools with the Sankofa Village will be a qualitative one and not just a quantitative one? And we actually heard a speaker call attention to that tonight. What percentage of our Black African American students and families will be served or will benefit from the expansion? And is there a mechanism in place for gathering feedback from our Black African American students and families as to how we can improve or better serve them? Those will be addressed as we continue the conversation. You can also see, and we can circle back to this, you'll see that there are some next steps which will actually be further detailed in the way that our panelists speak about the work that they are doing. So, second phase of the opportunity to monitor this guardrail is, I'm going to turn over to Dr. Brown for introduction of panelists and to facilitate a conversation that allows their work to be spoken out of their words.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking your time and for sharing your gifts and experience with us this evening. I want to give each of you a chance to introduce yourselves. So we'll start, Dr. Taylor-Stewart, with you, please. You need no introduction, actually, but
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm so excited and privileged to be here with you. My name is Alyssa Taylor Stewart. I'm an administrator with the Center of Black Student Excellence, and I'm the Parent and Community Engagement Coordinator. And I'm just really excited to be here with my friends and parent leads to share a little bit of our story with you and the importance of Sankofa Parent Village. We heard some of our feelings represented in some of the speakers tonight, and we just feel a real sense of pride and privilege when we speak about Sankofa Parent Village. So I'm excited, and thank you.
Hi, my name is Anaya Younger. I am a parent of 4 students in the district. They have attended Henry, dual immersion, Newcomb, K-8, and Keller Middle School, which is dual immersion also. Yeah, I'm just super involved, and I like to think of myself as the squeaky wheel, and I became buddy-buddy with Alyssa, asking lots of questions. So we do lots of events on campus, and we're excited to share with you what we've been doing.
Hi, my name is Dr. Mary Paul. I am the proud mother of 7 graduates from, 7 kids that attended LBUSD, and I'm almost at 5 graduates. So I've had students at Poly, Wilson, Newcomb, just all over the place. So I've been at a lot of schools within the district. And because of the great teaching and the great support that we've gotten from LBUSD, I have students that have graduated. I've had one from UC Berkeley, one from CSUN. One is currently at Babson College. One is currently at Caltech. One is currently entering into, we just got word that she'll probably be going to USC. And we have 2 that are at home, one at Sato and one still at Newcomb. So thank you for the privilege to be here. It's an honor to be sitting in front of the board. You guys have really supported our family. LBUSD has supported our family, and I just want to give a heartfelt thank you.
Among the gifts you bring, I'll just highlight the mothers of 12 children sitting right here in front of us among the many, many gifts you bring. And so thank you for that. We wanted to give a moment tonight to just explain what Sankofa Parent Village is. Where did the idea come from? And so share a little bit about the history of how this amazing group has evolved in the last few years.
So in the spirit of Sankofa, nothing that we do is ever done alone. It's always considered as a collective. And we know that we need to reach back and bring forth the best of what served us as Black people, be it from the continent, be it from our community. And I'm just excited to say that I first became involved with Black parent engagement when I was at Stevens Middle School, at least in Long Beach, under the leadership of Miss Ninette Richardson, who many people know. I was a special ed teacher at that time, and several of my students were Black students, and I wanted to really build a closer collaboration with their families, and so Ninette helped me build a Black parent group at Stevens, and then I got involved with CAP, the Coalition of the Concerned African American Parents. At Samuels, I know, Dr. Kim Johnson, many people throughout the district, David, Zaid, and I was really excited about that work. Dr. Pam Lovett, many others, and that morphed kind of into the Coalition of Involved African American Parents. As you know better, you do better, right? And so as we grew in knowledge and experience, we grew in expansion of our program. And then in 2021, Dr. Salazar called me, and I was working under Debbie Dedan's leadership in the RAP program, and she asked me if I would like to work in a Black-centered program, serving the community, supporting growth amongst parents, parent engagement. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's a dream come true for a person who is approaching the latter years of their career, and just really an extension of my lived experience as a Black person, Black parent, Black student, coming up through desegregation out of the suburbs of Chicago. And so I just was like, my goodness, how could this be? It's too good to be true. So Dr. Salazar and she said, well, listen, just dream about what you think Black families really need and want. And I was like, okay, really? Like, is this a job? So anyway, we got together and we thought about who could we bring on to support this work. And this is kind of digging a little deep in the weeds, but it's important. And so, of course, the first person we thought about was Dr. Pam Lovett. Like, you cannot do anything around Black student success, Black parent engagement, anything, unless you're working with someone of her knowledge base and her experience in cultural responsive sustaining pedagogy. And so she agreed to come on, and then we knew we needed someone in the SEL space, so we brought on Chandler Taylor and Amy Love, and then we wanted to really involve our community. And so we realized we needed some parents to support, and that's how we got the BSA Advisory Committee with the support of Dr. Brown and Dr. Baker and Dr. Salazar. And through the committee, we landed on these 3 buckets: academic support, social emotional well-being, and engagement and voice. And of course, we had our first symposium, our first Sankofa Summer Academy, and then the very next year, we thought about expanding Black parent engagement, and we launched Sankofa Parent Village. So we stand on the shoulders of great people, great programming. We didn't invent this. It's nothing that it came out of the clear blue. This is an expansion. This is a growth. And we know liberatory design tells us systems that were designed for inequity can be redesigned for equity when you center the people closest to the harm. And so that is exactly what we did in Sankofa Parent Village. And it is our space. It is a beautiful, safe space, a fun time, a time to come together, to learn, to close the knowledge gap, to build advocacy amongst our parents so they can then support their students. So Sankofa Parent Village is a community of care and support for parents and caregivers of Black scholars in Long Beach Unified School District.
Thank you. And thank you for the history, because to your point, nothing can happen without the history of what's come before. Ms. Younger, Dr. Paul, I saw you nodding as she was talking. Can you add into the conversation about how you've experienced Sankofa Parent Village and what caused you to want to become leaders of Sankofa Parent Village at the schools that you are representing as parents?
I am currently leading the Sankofas at Newcomb Academy and Sato Academy. And if you look at your paperwork, you will see at Newcomb they have a whopping 58 Black students that are reported. And when I first came there, we were one of the first families. They only had 3 Black families. And at Sato, my daughter proudly said at Black Grad, she was one of the 4 Black students that started at Sato. And when we stepped on the Newcomb campus, I have to say that they literally drew a noose and passed it to our family and asked us to leave. And so at that point, we had to make a decision whether we were going to get angry and facilitate hate, or whether we were going to make a difference. And thank you, with the help of my loving husband, because he stood by and made sure that we were safe, we decided we were going to make a difference. And as we have stayed and as we have trudged through the trenches, because it's been some conversations and some deep hurts, as we've seen from the students that were here today, about untangling those systemic racism and different things that go on at the schools, it's hard to change mindsets. It's really hard. I have really been blessed to be able to be a part of Sankofa. Sankofa started and I said, man, oh my goodness, we have a way for us to organize and to have parents, and they can have the support that they need as they're going through what they're facing in the district. And we can't just have teachers who help kids and counselors who help kids. We have to help families be able to navigate through the system, so families will be able to sustain and students will be able to get what they need from home, support from school, whatever support is needed to be able to manage what they're going through at school. And so we learned firsthand how important that was when we have families around us at Newcomb that allowed us to stay. And then we just want to make sure that those other families that we have within the district, especially those who you don't see tonight. You see some parents, but there are so many parents that can't be here. Every time we sit at the table, I always say we're sitting for those who can't come to the table, who are not allowed to. And we want to make sure that it's not just a measure on paper, or should we scroll down and help these one families, or should we do this guardrail, or should we do one more thing, that's we could do to make us look good. It is really necessary. It is necessary for parents to have the support, the ability, the knowledge, the camaraderie, the everything that comes through Sankofa Parent Village to support our kids and our students.
Ms. Younger, what would you add? I would add that, meanwhile, in the dual immersion community, we were struggling. We had a group of parents started by Christy Dill and Rashika Henry. We all had students that were in that program, and being Black and being in that dual immersion community was a struggle. Our numbers are low, but there was no support at the school site. So we came together as parents, and we were doing everything we could, meeting at people's houses, trying to just influence the school culture. Together, before Sankofa existed, we came to the principal, and we were able to host one of the district's first Black History celebrations at Henry. And so when I started to hear about Sankofa, I said, oh, this is great. We need support. We need collaboration. We need community. And we need kind of like a validation or like something to make us official, because we're just a group of parents kind of bugging people and asking for supports that we needed to see. There was hesitation, though, among the parents to trust something that came from the district, as like we had a name, African American Family Voice. We have a chat group that is like Black Kids United, and we were just doing what we could on our own. And to change the name to Sankofa, Henry's still kind of hesitant, but was difficult because we weren't getting the kind of support. But I was going to some of the district Sankofa meetings and learning what it was, and I said, this is what we're trying to do. This aligns with what is needed in our schools and what we've been trying to build for the last since before COVID. But afterwards, when I saw the value and the heart of Sankofa, I said, yes, sign me up. And we're still trying to get the ball rolling at places like Keller. We do have a parent group, but there is no student group that we can support. So I think Sankofa is a great thing, and I'm doing all I can to forward the mission and collaborate with more parents, because I think the more of us that are working together, supporting each other, if systems are redesigned to provide what we actually need, I think that things will be much better for our students on campus, where they are for so much of the day. Mm-hmm. So we've heard it said tonight in public comment, Dr. Tabari raised the idea of not just growing the number, but really maintaining the core and the integrity of what Sankofa Parent Village has been. I know, Dr. Taylor Stewart, you've said that many times, that it's not about having one in every school. It's about really carrying the wisdom of the past into the experience that is happening now. Can you talk a little bit, as we're going forward, and we have done something around identifying a number, a target number. How can we make sure that as we move towards more growth, we're really balancing and holding the integrity of what has been in the parent space at each of these schools?
Yeah, I'll be honest. As we started to grow last year, a thought that kept coming up with me in my mind, in my heart, was what happens when we grow. Truth be told, the important work happens at each school, Sankofa Parent Village. I love meeting with our parents. We had a meeting Monday night. We had an AI presentation that was really awesome. We had school sites competing against each other, because now Lafayette has cards and T-shirts and all these things. And it was a wonderful camaraderie, relationship building, and just a wonderful time. But the real work happens at the school site. So on one hand, it's like, wow, we have these site Sankofa Parent Village groups growing. I'm working with David Zaid, I'm working with Mr. Samuels, and to support the growth at elementary, middle, and secondary. And then the thought is, will these programs all continue to be authentic, culturally connected in the, paradigm of Sankofa, will they just be replicating, white dominant culture? Will it look like a PTA, which is obviously not what we want to happen? So how can we prevent that from happening? Well, I had a conversation with Dr. Tabari today, and this, obviously every school has a principal, right? And so I personally don't have oversight of each school. I don't know if anyone in this room does. However, I think the more we talk about what it could look like, the more we have parent leads share their experiences. I asked for site administration to meet with me and parent leads, 30, 45 minutes. Mr. Zaid is currently organizing a collective Zoom so we can meet with more at one time, where we go over a slide deck and we call it like an implementation roadmap, talk about the foundational principles of Sankofa. We talk about liberatory design. We talk about community cultural wealth. We talk about dual capacity building framework. We talk about all these important research-based ideas to help people have a greater understanding of what Sankofa is and what it is not. We talk about the parent lead should represent the community. Ideally, the parent lead should be a Black parent. It should represent the community. We know we have school sites that do not have a Black staff member, so hopefully the principal will then choose a staff person who aligns with the hopes and dreams and needs of the Black community and who identifies with the Black community in some way, right? And so the more we can talk about it, the more we don't shy away from difficult conversations, the more we can sit in our discomfort, the more we center the voices of the Black parents, the more we bring in their voices, the more we work in the vein of liberatory design, where we're co-designing things, where we're not doing for community, we're doing with community and in community. I think the more success we'll have. I think we're at about 25, if I'm not mistaken, Sankofa Parent Villages. And Dr. Lovett, who's my partner in this work as we continue to grow, we're there to support the work, and we're not there to monitor or to surveil or anything like that, but we're there to support. And I know there's a question about accountability. The accountability is really internal accountability, and it's also accountability from the community. Dr. Levitt right now is working with Sankofa Parent Village to help them have a greater understanding of liberatory design, the mindsets. We had a conversation on Monday night, so our parent community can understand this is what the district is saying we're doing, what we're supposed to do, and this is what we want you to hold us. These are your tools to hold us accountable to what we're saying we're going to do. And the more we inform, uplift, engage, as we say in BSAI, I think the more success we'll have. Am I as concerned with quantity over quality as Dr. Paul always talks about? No, I'm not. But I also respect the fact that this is what our district is hoping to do. And the more support we have as a team to inform. I know the conversations I had a conversation with Kim Carpenter and her assistant principal at, I think it's at Bret Hart, David? Bret Hart. And she's like, I had no idea. Like, it's so much deeper than just, oh, I have a Black parent group. Okay, that's cute. It's so much deeper that. And it was such a beautiful time because I truly feel like she left inspired and like hopeful and like with understanding and ideas and tools to really bring in and call in her Black parents. And that's going to benefit. Principals have to know if your Black parents are engaged, your metrics for student outcomes are going to improve. We know that. I mean, we knew that in 60, 70, and 80. All of a sudden, we forgot that. Any marginalized community, when families engaged, you're going to have better outcomes. And so this is only a win-win for everyone involved.
Excuse me, very quickly, so sorry. Having seen the amazing impact of Sankofa Parent Villages and the impact that it's had on students, I'm curious to hear more about the structured roadmap and what planning it takes to launch a Sankofa Parent Village at each school site.
Well, that's going to my notes. Well, thank you. So one of the things I think is really exciting about Sankofa Parent Village, this is not another thing for a principal to do. I know our principals are busy. I remember when I first became an administrator, I was told not to email the principals because they're so busy. So I'm like, okay. But guess what? This is not another thing for principals to do. Principals are the leaders at the school site. We get that. But they're the partners in Sankofa Parent Village. It's co-designed with a parent and a staff member. And so, for instance, I'm going to use Monica, right? Monica last year at Keller. Monica was an AP, Monica Cole Jackson. She was a partner to Anaya, and they worked together to develop like agendas and meeting times. Sometimes they had meetings online. I don't love online meetings, but that's what worked for Keller, you know, and so that's the beauty in the partnership, right? We don't just put someone together and say, oh, you're going to do that. No, this has to be something that comes from the heart, because it's not easy. Transformational equity work, we know it's not easy, but it's worthwhile, and it's so fulfilling. And so they come together, NASA, to develop an initial meeting, and then they bring in parents. Hopefully they make it a very exciting first meeting. They talk about hopes and dreams and needs of the parents at that school site, because they're going to be different all across the district. And then they land on, like, we're going to meet every Wednesday, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. And they have a meeting schedule. They meet. Sometimes they talk about data. Sometimes the principal will step in and be the expert for the night. A lot of times the principal is not even there, because the parents are talking about things that they need a safe space to discuss, right? Because we all know that affinity spaces are very, very powerful. And so the roadmap is not the implementation roadmap is not very steep, or it's not very difficult. It's the understanding behind or ahead of the implementation that's most important, because once you have that deep understanding, coming together as a Black community, that's what we know to do best, right? We know how to build together, build a collective. Anything we've done as Black folks throughout history has been done in a collective, and so that's something that's very natural to us. And then we decide on what we want to learn about, talk about, discuss. Sometimes we bring in experts from the outside who have more knowledge about that specific area. But it's a space for parents to grow in knowledge, strengthen their advocacy in support of Black students. Everything we do, even if it's fun times, right, Anaya, Marie, even if it's something we're doing fun or having fun, we're doing I heard someone the other night did the cha-cha slide at our meeting on Monday night, but I won't mention that person's name. Our goal is to elevate our students, and we know the numbers that we sometimes see on the data reports are not a reflection of the greatness that lives in our Black children. We know that through Sankofa Summer Academy, Sankofa Saturdays, we know it through Black Lit. We know our Black children are brilliant, and sometimes it's not reflected in the data. And so this is what we're hoping to do in Sankofa Parent Village, so we can see more of our children reflected in that data through parent advocacy and parent engagement. Hopefully that answers your question.
One of the things that we wanted to ask about was around feedback. So we often talk about how we gather feedback, and I don't know if you've noticed, but we do a lot of surveys, right? Has anybody noticed? It's bound to have happened. What I wanted to ask you specifically, Ms. Younger and Dr. Paul, what are some ways that we could seek feedback about the experience that really capture the essence and are not just survey driven? How could we gather feedback about how things are going for parents in this Sankofa Parent Village experience that push the boundaries a little bit and give us a chance to really capture more of the stories?
I think one thing that we can do in addition to feedback, because I know we don't like surveys, but I think sometimes we even have to do the Google surveys to make sure that we're capturing the needs of our community and know what they want. So we have to ask that. And I know at Newcomb too, not only do we capture it within our community, but we also have small surveys that we send to our teachers. Our principal allows us to get their take on, what they would like to see or what they would like to do, and how our community can help in the classroom, how it could transfer. I think also it's important for us to get feedback through testimonials. I think that that's a good thing. I think we kind of say, okay, how can we get all of this, numbers? I think the numbers are great. I think the surveys are great, but I think we shouldn't veer away from people being able to give testimonials. I think the presence is important too. If we could have district support maybe at some of the meetings, or someone can come out, and see a meeting and you can observe, or you can do things. There's a lot of ways to give feedback in addition to our surveys and our traditional ways of getting the feedback.
Yes, I agree with that. And some of you have had invitations to some of our events. Yeah. I think just coming to the events, speaking with parents, I was going to say speak to the students, talk to them about what impact it's having or what their experience is like. Coming to these maybe asking to pop in at a meeting or something that is more community facing would be great. I think listening sessions are wonderful if they're a relaxed environment, if maybe there's some kind of incentive for people to come, so that it doesn't always feel like we're taking from the community, like we're just trying to extract data from them, but that we're really trying to get a feel of just what the experience is like. But I think our kids also can tell the story, and they feel the shift, and they are pretty good at expressing that.
I wanted to add one more thing. Last month in Sankofa Parent Village, one of Dr. Lovett's Black Lit Society students, Kylie Moore, spoke. And she spoke about having a panel of elders. And one of the things, I hate to say it, but I'm an elder now, Mr. Samuels, so it breaks my heart. I remember when we first started this work, we did listening sessions at Poly and at Hughes. And the stories so closely aligned with my experiences as a child. And I'm like, how could this be? How could it be 2022 and students in high schools are telling stories similar, or elementary schools that I experienced back in the suburbs of Chicago in 1960, 1970. And so I think listening to our elders, so their stories, they can share their stories. I mean, Miss Roberta is one of our elders, and she was born and raised in Long Beach, and oh my gosh, she has so much knowledge about the history of Black Long Beach. But it's to hear their stories, but also so we're not replicating what so many of us years and years ago experienced. We have a wonderful opportunity to do different things, do things differently. We have Black people, brilliant Black people, parents, educators, community members who are willing to come and share their stories. We have our elders. We love our elders. I mean, just learn so much. And so I think taking time to listen to the stories of Black folks will help us grow this work in a way that really impacts. And it's not just on paper. It's not just a center, although I'm so proud that we do have a center. But we really need to make things more as authentic as we can. And listening to the stories, the counter-narratives of our people will be, I think, the difference maker in what we do. So that's intergenerational wisdom is one of our 10 key elements at the center. So
It sure is. Any other questions that you wanted to?
Thank you, Dr. Brown, and thank you for staying here late with us tonight. So I'm the last few points that were made around this, and I've heard it tonight. I've heard it from public comment that this isn't just about having a certain number of Sankofas across our district around lifting up. What does success look like from a qualitative? And yeah, we need some numbers, but I keep thinking of this guardrail and its connection or correlation to advancing our board goals and how we're using indicators of student success, right, elevating students. But then at the same time, I'm thinking, well, what does parent or caregiver engagement look like for our African American students, Black communities? What does participation? Dr. Baker touched on increase in engagement, access to resources, decision-making and accountability, and yet we're still using spaces and systems and processes that are, quite frankly, not accessible. So I'm just kind of having, some wonderings around, okay, so knowing that parents, caregivers, families, students are making a sacrifice to be in these spaces, and then yet we're also encouraging them to be on school site councils or on these other spaces where we believe we hold ourselves accountable. Just wondering if you could speak more to what should be our sort of guiding light. What should we be looking for if we're attending these sessions, listening up for, that then give us a sense that, yes, that we're maintaining the quality, but that it's also getting us the student success indicators. And it's, again, it's a wondering. I know there's no
I'm going to share quickly, but I think this is more germane question for our parents. Removing self from the equation, realizing that we are not the experts when it comes to Black parents and the Black community. They are the experts. They know how, what, when, how, all the questions live within our Black parents and our Black guardians and caregivers. And so first of all, we have to respectfully humble ourselves and realize we are not the experts of the experts of the experts. We have to center their voices and listen with our hearts. We also have to, view our families through an assets-based lens. Well, they're a single parent, this, that, whatever. They're not coming to meetings. Meet them where they are. Meet us where we are. Whether it's on Zoom or in person, at the coffee shop, whatever the case may be. I just think that we're so, as educators, focused on tradition and how it should be. I mean, I had the privilege of learning from Dr. Taro Yasso and Karen Mapp, and learning more about liberatory design. Nader has been so excellent in helping us expand our horizons and our minds and our hearts around liberatory design. I don't know if everyone's really digging into it as much as we say we are, because if we are, then it's automatically, we will automatically do things in a different way. I just don't, hopefully we're just not looking at those cards and reading through them and, being able to memorize the mindsets and so forth. These are things that we really should be enacting. First and foremost, building trust and respect. Continue to build it. We gain, we lose, we gain, we lose, but we want to gain forward momentum when it comes to that. But centering the voices of the community, to me, is the best way to do it the right way, and to know if we're really making a difference is listening to the community. And I know we have to look at test scores and metrics. Our work is not necessarily designed to be directly reflected in a test score. Building identity and belonging and positive identity and belonging and things we see in Sankofa Summer, I want to see in every single class around this district. Then those test scores are going to change if we're able to see that. So that's just I'm a parent a long time ago. My daughter's 39 now. Brittany, I love you.
I think it's two words that we need to adopt: authenticity and making sure that we're being authentic. And so when you step in this space, it's not, let me extract this information, but is, how can I authentically be here and look and observe at what's going on? Because see, you have to understand that the African American community, or any community, they're not dumb. They know when you're there to just look at them and just observe or take some notes, or they know when you're there to engage with them. And so we have to first start by changing our mindset. We're asking the board and everyone else in LBUSD, as we're doing this work, and all of our administrators and everything from a parent aspect, to just be authentic and to make sure that we have those spaces where you're coming in and actually trying to engage with the Black community and the African American community and these students, so we can have better outcomes. I don't know why we act like it's hard to understand that if you have a child who is in an environment that is being supported, they're going to do better than if they're in an environment where they're not being supported. It's not a no-brainer. If we have parents that have support and support systems at school, they're going to feel better about sending their kids to those schools, and those kids are going to be empowered to show up to school every day. It's not, so we don't have to figure out, oh my God, how are we going to do this? All we have to do is make sure that we're sincere and authentic. And we make sure that we provide these spaces so that parents can have these interactions and can have these support, so that they can go home and they can encourage their kids to have the support and move forward and try to make a difference in schools. One thing that we did at Newcomb, it was funny. My husband and I realized that the racism that we face from Newcomb, some people are just inherently racist. Let's just be honest, okay? Some people are, but the majority of people are not. The majority of people just don't know how to interact with the African American community. And so when we stepped on the Newcomb campus, we really realized that majority of the people at that campus, including teachers and administrators, because it's in the El Dorado Park Estates, most of the teachers lived in the neighborhood. They did not even allow African Americans to live in that neighborhood. So we looked around and we realized that most of those people had no Black friends. They had no interactions with African Americans. They didn't know what they were. And a little bit of it, if we just be honest with you, everybody has fear of the unknown from someone else that they don't know. And so we're trying to offer those spaces where not only our parents can get connected, but we can have district people to get connected, teachers to get connected, principals to get connected, so that we can have a stronger community and our kids can do better in these schools. So we don't have things like tonight where the students are saying, I don't feel supported. We don't have things where we're getting messages where we have anti-Blackness. Because the thing is that if we are really sincere and authentic, and we really come to these spaces and try our best to do our best and to empower, we can have less of that, because people, even if you don't accept, they learn how to respect. And so that's what I've learned over the years that we've been in Newcomb. We've been in Newcomb 20 years, 5 principals. We've been there, I'm gonna get a plaque, okay, and do a painting when I leave Newcomb Academy. But even the people who, and I've noticed this, even the people and the parents who cannot say, I like you, they have to come and say, we respect you. Because we have changed, you've changed our vision of what we thought African Americans were. And we've had some very honest conversations. Like, some people have even invited me to dinner and they were raised white supremacists. And they have said, I have tried to hate you for 7 years. And in that 7 years, what would happen is your daughter would be in class with my daughter. And your daughter would be nice to my daughter. And then I would try to figure out, well, how can I hate African Americans when my child is coming home saying, this girl is so nice to me. She's buying me lunch. She's bringing her mom, sending me stuff. And you dispelled the myth of African American students are not educated, because I see your kids that went to Berkeley, and I see your kid that went to Caltech, and I see your kids. So we're dispelling myths even when we don't know it. Even when you're not speaking, even when you're not in the Sankofa meeting. So having these spaces allows so much reach and so much that we can do even outside of this specific meeting that we set from 6 to 7:30. We're enabling people to come together on campuses and make a difference, and enable people to be authentic and sincere in those spaces, so that they may even see something different that will make a difference.
If you're asking about indicators that you have a qualitatively successful Sankofa Parent Village, is that what you're asking?
I was sort of asking that, but more, what do you all think we should be using to measure or to determine or to demonstrate that you have a high quality Sankofa?
Sure, okay. So it's going to vary at every school site, because of the culture of every school site is so incredibly different. And I know this from being at 3 different schools, and every year when we get started, whether the school has agreed to call it Sankofa or not, we ask our parents, what do we need here? And when I try to do the same thing at another school, it does not work. I make suggestions and the parents look at me and roll their eyes and like, that's not how we do it over here. So it takes a very authentic kind of relationship to know that, to ask the families, what is it that you need here? In a school where you need people just to see active Black parents, they may be doing events where there's more Black faces and kids are coming up to them and asking them, and they're loving on the students, and that's just what it is. In a school where parents need after-school childcare, it's a group text where people are sharing resources and links about this is how you sign up for RAP. And it's, if you're considering schools, then this is where you need to go. So that question is difficult to answer unless you speak to the parents, you speak to the students, and you ask them what they need. And if they are getting that through the participation that they have amongst themselves, and if they are supported from the district to do that, if they feel supported from the district to get what they need.
You very clearly answered what he asked, and your response challenges our system to be different, which is the point. So thank you for that, because you gave a very clear response to what he said. And it's just right. I really sincerely thank you for everything you've done, for everything you're doing, for staying late and offering, again, the gifts that you have brought to our whole community, to us this evening. Dr. Baker, did you want to say anything in closure? Or?
Yes,
Oh,
just
I'm
very
sorry, I had
quickly,
my back.
just 2 quick questions. What do you think is most challenging for principals that aren't on board with the program? And how would you like the district to hold unwilling principals accountable?
I'll share from my perspective. I mean, you can never say what's challenging to someone else, but I think tradition holds us back. So I've never been a principal. That has not been my aspiration, but I do know it's a difficult role, and sometimes we get stuck in the way things should be, top down, being in charge. As we say in liberatory design, transferring power. Okay. Mr. Natatois is an excellent teacher. So it's hard to do that sometimes, that paradigm shift, right? And so to share with the principal, this is not necessarily your group. You are definitely a partner in this work. We're not looking for you to come take notes. We're not looking for you to tell the parents what they want to know, what they should know. That can be challenging. And so that's where we were talking about like the authenticity, and each school, Sankofa Parent Village is going to look a little different because you have different schools. I had worked with a principal last year. He was at one school, and there were certain challenges, but at his new school, there seemed to be fewer challenges like that. One of the reasons is a lot of his parents are like what we call OG Sankofa Parent Village leads, and so they have a lot of experience, but maybe he's more comfortable with the whole notion of like co-designing. So for me, that's what I know to be true. A challenge for our principals is kind of like the paradigm shift from being in charge of everything to kind of like letting go a little bit and working with, and not, working with the community, not for the community. What was your second question, please?
And how would you like the district to hold unwilling principals accountable?
Well, it's probably a Dr. Baker question more so than for me, but I believe in giving people grace, right? With growth, we have to give grace. And as we know better, we do better. As we learn more, there's a lot of unlearning involved in Black parent engagement in Sankofa Parent Village. There's a lot of unlearning of things we knew to be true or things we thought were true, right? And so that has to happen. A lot of critical self-reflection and like how I show up and accepting some hard truths or some hard shares from the community. Sometimes it's difficult to hear folks say certain things, but part of it is just, Dr. Brown, we always talk about this. This is like stuff we just have to kind of accept and learn and grow with. I mean, these are things that are going to help us be better servant leaders, and ultimately that's what our goal is, right? And so I don't know if you could make anyone do anything that they're uncomfortable with, but working alongside them, working with them, growing with them, giving them grace, I think that's what I would like to see happen. But yes, definitely, having I remember when Dr. Baker a couple years ago when you were saying all in, and you say that and you believe that. Like for me, it's like, yeah, I'm all in. But I know there are some who are not all in, and like at the end of the day, to thine own self be true. You have to work within yourself first, and so we can be the leaders that we need to be and demonstrate and be the examples, and then we hope others will come along with our support. So, what do you all think?
I forgot the second question as well, but the first one about challenges for principals. At the schools that I've been at, if there are no Black staff or very few Black staff on campus, that's a huge challenge for them. Either they will have to be the primary support, or you're looking at trying to get people who just are not comfortable to do the work. If there are no Black staff available, just really supporting the principals in finding people who are comfortable, allies, supportive, and giving them some options for that. And if there's still no one, then perhaps sending someone from the Center for Black Student Excellence to support on campus, because that is the primary reason why one of our schools does not have a Black student group, is that we can't require teachers who are not comfortable to sponsor a group like this. So the principal tells me, I support this, I just don't have anyone available. So that's a huge, huge thing at some of our schools. Anything else? No? I think he's there.
Well, I want to thank you for your presentation. We had about an hour and 20-minute meeting before you guys got here, which was people telling us what it was like. And what I never heard in any of that was, how can we work with you? How can we make this better? It was, and I was kind of back on my heels, and you've really shown a way, I think, that told us about a way, a style, a culture, a way of doing things that emphasizes, I love the word authenticity and how important that is, but it's really all about relationships and establishing those relationships, and that takes time. And if you don't find a way to spend the time, you're not going to get there. But what you're telling us is that there's a model, there's a way to do this, which is listening, it's relating, it's helping. It's not relying on the authority people. It's developing relationships with other parents. It's caring about your kids and whether they're being successful and how to make them or keep them successful. And it's a wonderful message. And we're up here with talking about guardrails, and the guardrail that we've got here says that we're going to increase from 12 Sankofa schools to 45 in the next 3 years, basically. And I think you're showing us a way to do that. It's hard to put down on paper because it happens in the relationships that you make. So, thank you.
Mr. Otto, I always appreciate your support with BSAI and all the things Sankofa Parent Village. And I just want to share, thank you for saying that, because relationships are at the core of everything we do in education, but especially when you're working with the Black community. And I know someone once asked me, what do Black parents want? And I say, Black parents want what all parents want, for their children to be happy and whole and healthy and successful. They want to get those good calls, those great reports. Sankofa Parent Village is just a vehicle to bring them in, to call them in, and to engage with our Black families. And so, thank you for sharing that.
Well, Member Otto, I'm glad you talked about the expansion from what we have now to what we hope to have in the future. And I'm understanding from the conversation what it takes to have these at different schools. And it's not as simple as just assigning it, maybe saying to each principal, you will have this and you will do this by such and such a date. But you're giving us an understanding of what it takes to really have that on a school campus. And I love the universal truth of, as parents, we all just want the best for our kids. And if you see that there's something in the way of that, then you want to get involved and eliminate those barriers. And so kind of to that end, I think, Dr. Taylor Stewart, earlier in the conversation, you mentioned the parent leads for each parent group, each Sankofa parent group. And I'm wondering, what type of support system is there in place for those parent leads? It sounds like each group is very unique to the school community, but it seems to me you probably have some kind of support And so if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the two to my left are OG parent leads. We have parent leads who are instrumental in helping to grow Sankofa Parent Village at sites. So Anaya and Marie Paul are two of those parents. With their support, we have developed a support plan. So we come together quarterly, at least, with our parent leads. We just had a meeting a couple weeks ago at the center where we share information. I share a little bit, they share a lot about the things that they're doing, giving ideas to the other parent leads, sharing calendars. We're developing a resource folder. It's developed, but it's just a little tweaking that needs to happen, where all the parents leads will have access to. So they'll have access to district information, our district meetings, our district agendas, our district handouts, our list of all our Sankofa Parent Village groups with the leads and the principals and so forth. And then they also will be sharing and adding site information, like their site calendars, their site activities. They haven't even told you about the amazing things that they do at their sites. I'm going to let them share. I'm going to ask them to share. But so others can get ideas. We always encourage our new programs. You don't have to do something new and novel and like on your own. You can partner with another school, or you can piggyback on what someone else is doing, or co-op an idea that's already been done, like the Ruby Bridges Back to School Walk that's happened and about to happen again, and many, many other things that are wonderful, amazing activities that these two brilliant young women have led at their school sites. And so just being a resource, now that Dr. Lovett is we're officially partners in this work, Dr. Lovett, she's bringing a lens that was not there before. I mean, the understanding of cultural responsiveness, sustaining teaching and education, and informing our parents, what does that really even mean? Like, we use words in our district that, brilliant parents, but they're not educators, and so they don't, what does all that really mean? So she's helping to share that information in a way that is more digestible to our parent community and adding a different layer to this work that's so very valuable and important. So just really being a resource, being available. Many of our families have my cell phone number. I respond to emails. We try to make sure they understand how to access funding. I'm not going to talk about that because that sometimes can be we're in a difficult situation, let's just be honest. And so our funding, there are limitations on the funding that weren't there in the past, but we're working around those limitations. And so just making sure our parent leads have all the information they need. And as I shared with our CBSE team not too long ago, our parent leads put in hours of work. Their work shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be any harder than what it is in leading their group. Like, we should make sure they have all the knowledge and information available to them. We should support them, love on them, care for them in a way that encourages them to continue to be leaders in this work, because without them, this work doesn't grow. So, you guys.
I was going to say that, as we grow, and you were talking about structure, obviously anything has to have structure. So as we believe in being authentic and in our spaces, we're trying to make sure, especially this year, that we have the structural things in place to help people. So one of them was the parent lead board, where parents can come in and get resources. We've encouraged every parent to have a calendar for a year, so you'll know what you're doing over the year. And that's another way to help principals as well, because I notice, when you schedule something and you pass it to the principal and say, hey, can we have these dates? And the principal knows this is going to happen. It makes it easier for the school community. So those types of things, and making sure that our parents can follow suit. Also, one major thing is that all of the Sankofa sites feed off of the district meeting. So none of us are meeting on the night of the district meeting, or we try not to meet on the night of the district meeting. And the goal is that the district meeting is in the beginning of the month, so that you could take that material from that district meeting and repeat it right at your Sankofa site if you need to talk about that, or it's something that you need to do. So not only do our leads, we make sure they have calendars, we make sure that they can connect, they have resources, but we want to make sure that everything is coming from the district out to the parent and the different sites, so that we can have that resource as well as what we need on our particular sites. So we just want to make sure that we have guardrails in place as well on what we're doing on our sites as we try to develop our communities.
Okay. The funding, the $1,500 of funding, is also a major support for us. Parents were we were coming out of pocket. There were some schools wanting to do things that they were not able to do. And we know that it might not be a lot, but it really helps us think about what's most important and to focus our efforts on those things during the year. So having that funding has been an important support for us as well. We are always focused on the students, but sometimes we just need things to do all of the creative things that happen in our minds. So we appreciate that as well.
And as we're coming tonight, I just want to personally say thank you. You know, this is an initiative that is going to take you to think out the box. Nobody's sitting here and saying, hey, check this, be here at 5, be here at 6, do this at 7, you know? So when it comes to things that are qualitative, it is hard for a district to adapt. It's hard for a district to think, okay, how can we do this? And are people gonna be rogue? And how are we gonna maintain this? And what can we do? So as we're sitting here even discussing this measure and discussing the guardrails and discussing the different things that we're doing, you know, the parents, we wanna say thank you. Thank you for trying to think out the box and move forward into true equity. Not just, you know, it being on paper or it being one of our goals that we can reach later. We're really trying to get spaces and different ways to make sure that that equity is delivered all the way to the school sites. Mm-hmm. And that's going to take us doing something a little bit out the box and a little bit different. So we thank you for the mindsets that are changing here that is going to embrace that difference.
I have one other concern about support as we grow from our 12 to 45 sites is that, like Dr. Taylor Stewart was saying, that some of us are texting her and, you know, asking her to pick things up for us. And as the number of sites grow, that workload is becoming, it won't be sustainable for one person dedicated to Sankofa. I know that we have a team, but we do need more people supporting the work at the district who are able to support our parents. She will try to make it to all of our meetings. She'll say, when's your meeting? I'm coming. She cannot be at 45 different meetings. So anyone who's here who wants to, you know, do that, just, you know, it may not be your job description, or maybe there are more people who are there to support the work of the schools. Parents are texting me all the time. I'm trying to funnel to her. There's thousands of emails to answer. As we grow, this is a good problem to have, but it's also something that needs to be addressed because she is our primary support right now. So
I just want to chime in and say, it is definitely a labor of love. And I hope, now that we have a center, Dr. Lover and I are partners, and she has a lot to do. I mean, she's doing things in the district and the center. I just hope that everyone can take a vested interest in this work, all the people in the center, and maybe folks won't be as involved in it as I am, obviously, but I hope this can become a part of everyone's, maybe I shouldn't say this, Dr. Baker, but everyone's job description in the center, a piece of it, because, you know, it is important, intergenerational wisdom. We have younger folks in the team. We have, you know, knowledge, counseling knowledge. We have teacher knowledge. We have all these different types of buckets of knowledge that could advantage this work, right? And so having an opportunity to work with Mr. Zaid and Mr. Samuels and Dr. Myers-Miller and others, we need more hands on deck. And I think we potentially have a team that could be more involved in this work, and hopefully will be more involved in this work as we grow and continue to grow. But you're right, Anaya, just, you know, being very honest, we can't ask, and this is how the funding came about, Dr. Brown. Our parents drew up a proposal, these two parents, and gave it to met with Dr. Brown and talked about this $1,500, and then she and I talked. I'm like, we cannot ask school sites to do one more thing unless we're supporting them. We cannot ask parents, you know, the burden is not on our parents. I mean, it is a education is cooperative, right? I mean, it's like a stool. It's like the student, the parent, and the school community. But we can't put more of a burden on them than we put on ourselves. It is ours to do, as my friend Dr. Brown always says. And so we need to make sure that our parents are cared for, and they know that we care for them. And this $1,500 is one way, and human capital is another way. So.
Yeah, thank you for that. I know Member Nwala has a question or comment, and I just want to say something briefly before I hand it over to you. But couldn't help but notice a couple of times you have mentioned board members being invited to attend, and my recommendation is that you find out who your representative is, because we represent different districts, and invite your district representative from each individual school, because I know we all like to be included, involved in what our schools are doing, and that would include this group as well. So I'm going to speak for my colleagues here, but I believe we're going to enjoy those invitations and answer those positively. So
And I appreciate you coming out to some of our work that was pre-Sankofa at our events, and I know it was always nice to see you guys there, and yeah.
Thank you. And Member Nwala.
Simply a comment. I just wanted to say thank you, all of you, for the time, the effort, and the labor that you put into this. I firsthand have seen the deep impact that these parent affinity groups have on each and every one of our individual students at our various sites. And I just want to commend you and hope that you continue this work, and hope that the support that the district is showing towards you, we can see that in our students and not have what we had tonight, and instead see the beautiful impacts of Sankofa. Thank you.
I would actually like to let that be the last word, but I just want to express my deep gratitude to the three of you. Dr. Levitt is behind you as part of this work. Thank you for being with us tonight. There's nothing like a monitoring report on something like this that could ever do justice to what you have brought to the conversation tonight. And so lots of learning for us. Thank you for the conversation, for challenging us. Dr. Taylor-Stewart, I think you actually covered every element of your presentation that you do with schools tonight, including the research foundation for this. You named all of that. I think there were at least 6 of the elements of Black excellence named. And I will just say at the top of that list is joy. And so thank you for representing excellence as also as joy and as community, and for helping us to be different in our organization. With that, you've got the components of a report, you've got the beautiful story that goes with it, and it is an action item to accept or not accept the monitoring report tonight.
Move to approve.
Move to accept. Second.
Move to approve the acceptance of the monitoring report.
Second is acceptance of the approval.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? I said that backwards. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And our student board member?
Aye.
So that passes 4-0 with 1 preferential vote. And I will just add, thank you very much for the presentation. We don't have a lot of experience monitoring guardrails. In fact, this is the first time we're monitoring a guardrail. And so the conversation was a little bit different than when we monitor goals that are tied to, data and numbers and charts and all that. And so this definitely had a different feel. And I want to thank you for, okay, well, I know there was a little bit of data, but I want to thank you especially to the parents who volunteer, who give your time so graciously and in such a way where you're inviting people in a way that makes us want to join you. So thank you for that.
I just want to say this, and I'd be remiss if I didn't. I want to just thank you, Dr. Brown, for your friendship, your partnership. This has been a very, very difficult year. I'm going to just be very honest in just really trying to dismantle systems of oppression and this work in a Black space, really trying to understand what does that really mean, the opportunities that we have. And Dr. Brown, you are always available to me. I told my daughter the other day, when I move eventually, I know I'll still be friends with you. You are a true servant leader. Your work is so appreciated. We talk about you all the time, and I know you don't like this, but I need to say it because none of this, I mean, I can want to do all that I want to do, but Dr. Brown, I don't think she's ever said no. And a couple recently, like spending money buying food maybe, but other than that, she'll always find a way. She found the way the other day to buy pizza for the babies. And so I just want you to know, God bless you. Thank you. I'm so grateful for you, your personhood, your humanity. You have helped to transform this district in ways that I don't think many people know. And I love you with all my whole heart. And I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you. I think we need to move on, and somehow that doesn't feel right. But we're going to do it because we have business to take care of. So next on the agenda is item 16.2, Student Outcome Focused Governance Implementation Timeline. And I will give the report in Member Miller's absence, but we held our first community engagement event, and that's on our vision and goals and values and guardrails from the manual. And it was on the timeline for this month, so for October. And also the board is working on board guardrails. We've started that process, and from the manual, that's with values and guardrails. And I just wanted to mention that it first shows up in the month of July. And the coach had recommended moving it out because of the other work we were doing, and we're just ensuring that we're doing the work completely and with fidelity and not just checking boxes. So we're making sure that we're doing it right, but there is progress on that, so I wanted to mention it. And then also, we are working on a different way to evaluate our superintendent. And the way that we have decided to go forward is that we will base the evaluation on goals and guardrails, and that's different than how we've been doing it. And that first shows up on the timeline for August, but we've been working on it, and we've settled on doing it in alignment with the goals and guardrails. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank our staff for helping with the first community engagement meeting, because it required so much work, and we had staff people who were committed to being there. So in addition to, working a full day, they stayed with us into the evening, and that includes all the prep work with the slide presentation, with having light refreshments there. We had translation. We had so much staff, and we are working on having more community members. That's something that we need to work on. So now we're at report of board members, and Dr. Benitez, we will start with you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in lieu of a official report for me today, I'm going to just direct my comments to my colleagues up here. So I started on the board in 2018, and over the years, I have brought up community questions, community concerns, items that community has raised about our Long Beach College promise, and of course also benefits and the positive impacts of our Long Beach College promise for students and for families. Some of the concerns that I've raised have had to do with modifications, changes to our quote-unquote promise in its different iterations since 2008, particularly with regard to admissions criteria, changes in requirements for graduates of our district, whether that be higher eligibility indexes or only certain majors that students could apply to. You've been here the whole time that I've shared some of these questions and concerns, Madam Chair, and quite frankly, I have been frustrated at times on behalf of our communities regarding what some would say is a moving target for our students. So several months ago, I again raised these questions and concerns again, and I proposed to our board that we take a more proactive approach in regarding this, and our board supported. I heard a few of our board members support this. I proposed a resolution, and actually, President Craig had said, "Hey, let's do this. You know, we can put something forward." But really, the resolution would reflect that we uphold the original spirit and intent of this Long Beach College Promise by providing opportunity for graduates of our wonderful district to get guaranteed admission into Cal State Long Beach if they completed their CSU A through G eligibility requirements with a C or better. So I come back to my colleagues here with some updates and with a motion, and I would love to get a second. Last week, Governor Newsom signed Senate Bill 640. I see Dr. Sosa Valderrama nodding her head. In essence, Governor Newsom, by signing this bill into effect, I think it goes into effect in a year or 2 years, provides for guaranteed admission to students, in this case in Northern California. I think there's 3 campuses that were identified. Guaranteed admission to students that met the CSU minimum A through G eligibility requirements automatically, without application, without admissions. If they fulfill the requirements in high school, they would get automatic admission into one of the, I believe, 3 CSUs named. So I've drafted a resolution, colleagues. I'd love to move that we add an item on our next agenda to discuss it, the information. And then if the board decides to move forward with action, to consider that. So I am asking for a second based on this. And then make a decision on wanting to add this to next agenda. I'd like for us as a board to call upon our Long Beach Promise partners, the LBCC, CSULB, the City of Long Beach, not telling them what to do, but just reminding them of our original commitment with the Long Beach College Promise and the original admissions criteria for any and all LBUSD grads that graduate with a minimum C or better, A through G requirements, to get admitted into our local institution, Cal State Long Beach, and to return to that original promise made to LBUSD students and families who successfully met this requirement. I also would love to call on the Chancellor's Office of the CSU to do the same thing that was just signed off on in Northern California for Cal State Long Beach. How about that? How about if our students that fulfilled admissions requirements, how about if they got guaranteed automatic direct admission to Cal State Long Beach? That would free up our counselors, our peer advisors, the challenges with actually filling out these applications, the time, the energy, the stress that it puts on our students and on our systems, and then for not to be able to fulfill the promise, I think is a challenging one. But now we have legislative precedent that it can be done, that direct and automatic admission can be had here in our great district. The last is, and I think it's the most important feature of what I'm asking you to consider. And I'm trying not to get emotional here because I'm connecting this directly with what we've just heard from what's going on with our Sankofa Parent Village. I think it's an opportunity for us as a district, as a board, to really shine that North Star that this is what we want for all students. So whether that's what we call career and college readiness or whatever we want to call it, by any standard, measure, indicator, academic success means the opportunity to continue education and to continue it at a university, at a college, in higher ed. So what this assurance to me provides us is an additional anchor for all the effort that's being put into making sure that we dismantle educational disparities in our district. We have board goals that reflect A through G, eliminating our A through G completion gap amongst our students, and in particular for our Black students. So what better way to uphold our mutual institutional commitment to ensure an educational success for all students in our district, particularly those that have been historically and continue to be underserved and prevented from achieving their own hopes, dreams, aspirations as part of their educational journey with us and with our local institutional partners, so that we ultimately fulfill the true promise of what we deem to call a high quality education. So I ask for a second and for consideration to put this in an agenda.
It was to put this on our next agenda,
Yeah.
and I would second that.
Discussion. I will just say that according to our bylaws, this motion to put this particular item on an agenda fits the requirements because it directly relates to our board goals, guardrails, and so I'm going to support that because it's covered by our bylaws. That's agenda planning bylaw 9015. So any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And our student board member?
Aye.
So that passes 4-0 with one preferential vote.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Otto.
That's my report.
Thank you.
As an addendum to what we just did, my recollection is what we ran into last time was a reluctance on the part of one of our partners to admit people. And I think all of that needs to be discussed at our next meeting and find out the status of our partners and what they're doing. At the break, I told Dr. Samuels that I had a new definition for old age. It was when you get upset at kids acting out in the audience during a board meeting, and I've changed my mind about that, and I think that what old age really is to have a meeting like this which ran the big gamut from a lot of stuff coming at us that we couldn't do much about, but that we needed to listen to and hear, and then to have the presentation of our first and only real board guardrail discussion with the presentation that was made, which I was just so full of hope and good feeling, and why it is that we're here, and finally to get this inspirational resolution from Dr. Benitez to remind us that we do have things to do that are important, and that we need to keep that in mind. And I think that with the presentation that we had tonight and our recent celebration of our Hispanic students at Cabrillo a short time ago, we're on a good path, and we're doing the kinds of things that school board ought to be doing. I was very concerned when I looked at what looks like a Supreme Court decision today about to come out about what it's going to be like to move forward the types of agendas that we're talking about. And so I started off this meeting, and most of the way through it, at least certainly up to our break, felt like it's a lot of work, and I'm not sure what the path forward is, but I kind of see a path forward now, at least in terms of picking up what we've got to do and the kind of work that we need to do. And so I am, surprisingly to myself, once again inspired by all this. And thanks for all that. Thanks for everybody tonight. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Member Lopez.
Well, I attended the Poly versus Millikan football game last Friday night, and I just want to just talk about the great production that Nike put on, giving out uniforms, shirts, and sweaters to students and coaches, and then all of the rallies that led up to the game. The halftime show was a highlight for many of our students who were incredibly excited to see this year's Super Bowl performing artists, Kendrick Lamar's musical performance partner, DJ Mustard, perform. DJ Mustard did a really great job engaging the students, the parents, the staff members who enjoyed the entire set. And then right before the show, there was an unfortunate incident where a player was hurt, and an ambulance was called to escort the student to the hospital. And I am relieved to say that the student has fully recovered and is home safely. And I was also informed that DJ Mustard made it a point to send a video to the student, sending his prayers with a positive message and to keep going on his goals. Also, according to some of the staff there at the stadium, there were about 5,000 to 6,000 people in attendance, and everything was so great. No incidents took place. People were just so excited, so amazed with the halftime performance. And I do want to send Nike kudos for bringing both schools, Millikan and Poly, together in a great night. And a big shout out to Poly staff for a wonderful, wonderful evening. Everything was well organized, and you did a great job. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to mention that the governance team, including all 5 members of the board and our superintendent, attended a 2-day training over the weekend, so it was Saturday and Sunday. And I really want to thank my colleagues and Dr. Baker for giving up an entire weekend, and it was long hours, it was very long hours, so that we could have this training together. We were in a training with our coaches, both of our coaches from the Council of Great City Schools, with Fresno. So we had the Fresno superintendent, a couple of board members. They have 7 members of their board, and they had to travel. So it was a couple of board members and their deputy superintendent, and I think it was head of school safety and somebody else. Anyhow, great training. I know there was a lot of learning, and just want to thank everybody. So, Dr. Baker.
I have no report tonight. Thank you.
Well, in that case, without objection, we'll adjourn. I just want to thank everybody for being here, and our next regularly scheduled meeting is November 5th. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.